Chapter 2296. Hearing Yi Qinghan's explanation, the Nine Heaven Xian immortal gradually understood that Yi Qinghan had no other choice. As for the reason why Yi Qinghan chose to offend the ultimate peak mountain, it was indeed laughable. You underestimate the ultimate peak mountain, the Nine Heaven Xian immortal warned. Yi Qinghan smiled bitterly. If he was given another chance, he would still offend the ultimate peak mountain. If the ultimate peak mountain is angry, the Qing Zun immortal kingdom will not offend those big shots for you. The little princess you saved will not be able to save you. The Nine Heaven Xian immortal looked at Yi Qinghan with admiration in his eyes, but more than that, he felt pity. Such a monster was captured by the ultimate peak mountain. The consequences were imaginable. Yi Qinghan smiled bitterly and said respectfully, "Thank you for the reminder, Senior. However, the undying immortal realm is vast and boundless. The ultimate peak mountain might not be able to extend their reach. I can escape to other immortal kingdoms." The Nine Heavens Xian immortal shook his head and replied, "I told you, you underestimated the endless peak mountain. Their hands are very long. But since you appeared in front of me, it's fate. I'll help you this time." Hua! The Nine Heaven Xian immortal waved his hand and a simple half-jade pendant appeared in his hand. It was unknown how long this jade pendant had existed. Because it was only half a jade pendant, no one knew what kind of sculpture it was. However, one could tell that the complete jade pendant had an extraordinary origin. Take this jade pendant to the Dragon Emperor Immortal Kingdom. Go to the Ancient Emperor Academy and find the Dean of the Ancient Heavenly Emperor. Perhaps he will take you in. The Nine Heaven Xian immortal slowly placed the jade pendant on the table and said calmly, "The Ancient Heavenly Emperor." Yi Qinghan had never heard of this name. However, in the undying immortal realm, there were countless experts living in seclusion. This ancient heavenly emperor's position in the Nine Heaven Xian immortal's heart was comparable to an immortal kingdom. His strength must be terrifying. Yi Qinghan's fingers trembled slightly. He respectfully reached out with both hands and took the jade pendant. He did not know how to thank the Nine Heaven Xian immortal. "Junior owes you 2 lives. In the future, even if the immortal realm is dyed in blood, I will repay you," Yi Qinghan said resolutely. The Nine Heavens Xian immortal smiled indifferently. However, there was a hint of helplessness in his eyes. Maybe even immortal emperors wouldn't reject such a woman. "Go, maybe you won't be able to leave after a while. Your potential is limitless. Since Yang Zhixian gave the order to capture you, he won't let you leave. He will personally come and find me." Nine Heaven Xian immortal waved his hand. Yi Qinghan's pupils shrank and he quickly said, "Since Senior knows, why don't you come with me?" The Nine Heaven Xian immortal smiled indifferently, "Don't worry. Even if this is the ultimate peak mountain, Yang Zhixian won't dare to do anything to me. I'm tired and don't want to walk anymore. I'll just retire here and spend the rest of my life here. It's great." Whoosh! The Nine Heaven Xian immortal waved his hand and sent Yi Qinghan away. Space and time changed, and in the blink of an eye, they were countless miles away from this place. Yi Qinghan's body flipped in the different space, and he couldn't control it at all. Only now did he understand how terrifying a true Xian immortal was. If the immortal golden immortal personally came, how terrifying would that be? Whoosh! Yi Qinghan used this force to rush into the distance. After 2 hours, the Nine Heaven Xian immortal's force dissipated into nothingness. Although it was only 2 hours, Yi Qinghan had already appeared 300,000 miles away. This was the immortal realm, and 300,000 miles was enough for him to travel for several days. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan's body landed outside an ancient tribe. He raised his head and looked around. The hills were undulating, and the mountains were continuous. The green hills and clear waters were swirling around, and the docile immortal beasts and birds were startled and fled in all directions. Screech! Roar! Several birds and beasts glided past Yi Qinghan, and he quickly dodged in shock. Oh no, this place should be very far from the Qing Zun Immortal Kingdom. I was thinking of asking Xianyuan Qingyun to help me bring the people from the immortal realm, Yi Qinghan muttered to himself. However, this place was very unfamiliar to him, and he didn't even know where to go next. Yi Qinghan had no choice but to walk step by step toward the tribe, hoping to find a way. On the way, he was bored and pulled out the divine bird, but the divine bird was no longer willing to pay attention to him. Before Yi Qinghan went to the 9 heavens great world, he had cancelled the contracts with all the sacred beasts, including the 5 elements sacred beasts, except for the divine bird. Clearly, he wanted to drag it along with him. How could the divine bird be happy? Sigh, we grew up together. I don't feel at ease leaving you in anyone's hands. You don't even understand my painstaking efforts. Yi Qinghan pretended to be serious and sighed. The divine bird said disdainfully, Bah! You just can't bear to see me live alone. I've never seen someone as despicable as you. Even if you die, you want to drag me down with you. Aren't I still alive? Besides, I'm confident that I can survive. That's why I brought you along. Yi Qinghan said confidently. The divine bird gnashed its teeth in hatred. It pointed at Yi Qinghan and scolded, Do you think I'm a 3-year-old child? Do you have the confidence that I don't know? This time, you entered the 9 heavens great world with the determination to die. Don't think I don't know. Otherwise, why would you leave the multicolored snake and the others in the eternal world? You clearly want to drag me down with you. Yi Qinghan smiled. In fact, he really didn't have much hope this time. However, he always felt that bringing the divine bird with him might give him a chance of survival. Even if he really died, with the divine bird accompanying him, he wouldn't be lonely. Therefore, he still had some selfish motives. The divine bird naturally knew Yi Qinghan's thoughts. That was why it was flustered and exasperated. It wouldn't really follow Mister's orders for its master. As the saying goes, a bad life is better than a good death. What do you think our next step should be? Yi Qinghan said with a flattering smile. Get lost. I don't know. The divine bird scolded angrily. Yi Qinghan raised his eyebrows and didn't argue with it. He shrugged and said, You can be angry first. Anyway, you can forget about escaping from my grasp for the rest of your life. Even if you die, you have to die with me. You're crazy. The divine bird cursed. Yi Qinghan had nothing to lose. He smiled and said, It's not like you just found out. So let's live well. Maybe one day I can cultivate to the immortal emperor realm. At that time, I'll give you a great world and let you rule it. Don't tempt me. I won't be fooled again. You can care about anyone's life, including the multicolored snake and the others, but you don't care about mine. The divine bird was really angry. It felt that Yi Qinghan was too unfair. Yi Qinghan could see that the divine bird was really angry. He couldn't help but feel helpless. In his heart, the divine bird had a very special place. He didn't know how to describe it. In any case, he felt that if they were going to live, they would live together. If they were going to die, they would die together. Moreover, in times of danger, his subconscious reaction was to ask the divine bird. That kind of trust was unmatched by anyone, not even Emperor Yi. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan found a rock and sat down. He held the divine bird in his palm and said seriously, If I have to abandon someone, I can abandon anyone but you. But if I die, you have to die with me. You have no choice because I feel that as long as you're by my side, I'm not afraid of anything. Therefore, I can't evaluate your position in my heart. You should know best how high this position is. The divine bird rolled its eyes. It didn't know whether to be happy or sad about Yi Qinghan's words. Chapter 2297. Outside the tribe, there were green mountains and clear waters. Yi Qinghan led the divine bird towards the tribe slowly, but the divine bird was still unhappy. A few burly men arrived outside the village. They all carried huge bows on their backs and had large scars on their bodies. They must have been hunters who often traveled in dangerous areas. 1 immortal earth immortal, 3 immortal spirit immortals, and 4 great sages. This should be the main force of this tribe. Yi Qinghan rushed to the group of aboriginals and cupped his fist. Fellow Taoists, may I know how to get to the ancient Emperor Academy of the Dragon Emperor Immortal Kingdom? The group of aboriginals saw that Yi Qinghan was dressed in white and looked like a decent person. They did not feel much revulsion. The leader, an immortal earth immortal, cupped his fists and replied, "This is the border of the Dragon Emperor Immortal Kingdom. If you head west, you will reach the hinterland of the Dragon Emperor Immortal Kingdom. As for the ancient Emperor Academy, I do not know its exact location. You can ask around in the big cities." Big cities? You do not know how to get there? How far is it? Yi Qinghan hurriedly asked. The immortal earth immortal scratched his head, unsure of how to answer. After all, the immortal realm was too big. The distance between cities was unimaginable. The roads intersected, and taking a wrong path could lead to a completely different destination. If you are going to the hinterland of the Dragon Emperor Immortal Kingdom, you can wait here for a few days. Every year at this time, a few tribes will unite to send their resources and goods to the big cities to be sold. You can pay some money to follow them. At least it will be safer. The immortal earth immortal kindly reminded. Yi Qinghan was not in a hurry. Traveling alone would not be as good as sneaking into a large caravan. At least he would be able to fool others. My surname is Yi. You can call me Yi. How should I address you? Can we travel together? Yi Qinghan cupped his fists and asked. This group of hunters was very kind and honest. They did not have any ulterior motives. After introducing themselves, they quickly became familiar with Yi Qinghan. The leader was called Bai Zishan. The 3 immortal spirit immortals were his nephews. The burly man in linen was called Bai Yi. The slightly weaker middle-aged man was called Bai Chen. The stout man was called Bai Fei. As for the great sages, they were all young and did not have the right to speak. Brother Yi, you are in spirit form. How did you cultivate to the immortal earth immortal realm? Don't you understand? Bai Zishan asked curiously. Yi Qinghan smiled bitterly and said, I had no choice but to come to this point. You look quite young, so your talent should be quite good. What a pity. Bai Zishan sighed. Yi Qinghan laughed. He understood what Bai Zishan meant. In his current state, many people would think that he could cultivate to the immortal heavenly immortal realm at most. It would be impossible for him to reach the immortal Xian immortal realm, let alone the immortal golden immortal realm. Along the way they chatted a lot. Yi Qinghan roughly understood the situation in the surrounding area. The largest city from here was called Vast Cloud City. It was the territory of a Xian immortal called Vast Cloud City. The entire Vast Cloud City was at the border. Beyond Vast Cloud City was the hinterland of the Dragon Emperor Immortal Kingdom. An immortal kingdom had about 8 to 9 golden immortal abode. Each golden immortal abode had about 1,000 Xian immortal cities. This was what Bai Zishan had heard from others. However, this was what he bragged about in the tribe. Many people in the tribe had never stepped out of the tribe in their lives. Yi Qinghan had a rough understanding of the immortal realm. Even if Bai Zishan was wrong, it would not be too far off. From this tribe to Vast Cloud City, the caravan would take 20 years. To these immortal realm immortals, 20 years was equivalent to 20 hours for mortals. However, they would not do such time-wasting things often. On average, 3 to 5 tribes would work together to transport the resources they had obtained over the years to Vast Cloud City to be sold. Then they would buy some necessities back to the tribe. A tribe was equivalent to a large village. There were about 100,000 people, young and old. They lived and bred here. Women would not flow out. Even if there were, it would be a marriage swap between tribes. Our by-family village has been here for hundreds of thousands of years. We are considered a large tribe. We have 3 immortal heavenly immortal clan elders and more than 20 immortal earth immortals. They are also the main hunters of the tribe. 8 of them are past their prime and are resting at home. It is us, the strong earth immortals, who lead the young ones to hunt and harvest resources. When we can no longer fight, a new batch of youngsters will come forward to lead the tribe. This kind of life is actually pretty good. It is peaceful and quiet. Bai Zishan led the group up the mountains and over the ridges. As they walked, he told Yi Qinghan about the situation. Yi Qinghan listened quietly. Some things might not be important, but some could save lives at critical times. Actually, our tribe is not very safe. Sometimes we will attract some powerful bandit. There may also be a beast tide. If we attract a powerful group of bandits, it is still fine. We usually pay them some money and they will not kill us. The most terrifying thing is the beast tide. They do not care about money or lives. They only care about killing. So, every year, our necessities are some immortal weapons, high-grade bows, immortal medicines and tonics for cultivation. These are all consumables and are consumed very quickly, Bai Zishan said calmly. Yi Qinghan listened quietly. He could also sense that the people in this tribe did not have it easy. In such a large tribe, after hundreds of thousands of years of reproduction, only 3 immortal heavenly immortals came out. It seemed that the mortality rate of hunting was still very high. As they chatted along the way, time passed very quickly. They appeared in an ancient forest. The deep forest was filled with spiritual energy, but it was even more oppressive and dangerous. Some swamps could take the lives of great sages and immortal heavenly immortals at any time. If they encountered a super-powerful beast, even an immortal earth immortal might not be able to survive. There are still 18 days before we enter the city. This time, let's hunt more and get more resources. If we can sell them for a good price, we will have an easier time in the next 100 years, Bai Zishan said to the group behind him. Yi Qinghan raised his eyebrows as he looked at the deep ancient forest. He could sense that this place was very dangerous. However, there were many immortal medicines here. Most of them were at the spirit immortal level. They could not be sold for a good price, but to these hunters, they were precious resources that could sustain their lives. The divine bird lay weakly on Yi Qinghan's body. Even the immortal herbs did not pique its interest. Yi Qinghan shrugged and comforted it. Don't be angry. When we take root in the ancient Emperor Academy, I will be responsible for helping you reach the immortal earth immortal level. How about it? The divine bird was finally energized. It raised its eyelids and asked, Really? Really? If I lie, I will not be able to get up from now on. Yi Qinghan vowed solemnly. Whoosh! When the divine bird heard this, it immediately stood up. It was full of energy and no longer looked as dispirited as before. Let's go, boss. I will bring you to find treasures. After all, it will take a lot of money and resources for me to reach the immortal earth immortal level. How can I let boss pay for it all? The divine bird said seriously. Chapter 2298. The divine bird was a mercenary. When there were benefits, it would be excited. When there were no benefits, it would become a dead bird. Yi Qinghan shrugged. The divine bird's actions were within his expectations. It seemed like this was not the first time the 8 hunters had ventured into this ancient forest. Because they knew they were exceptionally careful and took every step carefully. There are many ferocious primordial creatures here. Although they are not particularly strong, they can easily kill off ageless spirit immortals. Many of the wild beasts can instantly kill off ageless earthen immortals. Thus we rarely come here to search for treasures. Only when we are about to reach Cloudbright City, and we do not have enough resources to last for 100 years will we come here to take a risk and obtain more resources. Every time, we will sacrifice a few. Hopefully, we will be lucky this time, Bai Zishan said solemnly. Yi Qinghan nodded indifferently. He had to accept this favor. However, the ferocious creatures outside could not threaten his life. They could not even break through his defenses. Whoosh! Stepping on a thick layer of dead leaves, they made a sinister sound. These dead leaves had been piled up for countless years. The dead leaves in the depths had already rotted, and the rotting smell was very strong. However, the spirit chi and the rotting smell clashed. The smell of the air 1 meter above the ground and below the ground formed a sharp contrast. The divine bird's eyes darted around. This time, it was looking for immortal treasures for itself. How could it not work hard? Yi Qinghan was not prepared to compete with Bai Zishan and the others for resources. He was only looking for more valuable and scarce resources. After passing through the dark forest, they entered a canyon. There was almost no life here. Only some vicious and poisonous creatures were entrenched here. Their poison could even kill immortal spirit immortals. These barren mountains basically have mineral veins. However, the terrain here is very dangerous. Small tribes like us do not dare to mine, Bai Zishan explained. Those who often mined knew that if the mountains were barren, there would definitely be a large number of mineral veins inside. Yi Qinghan also knew a little. Although he did not know what resources were buried here, he was not interested. At this time, no matter how good the resources were, he did not have the time or energy to mine them. The group passed through the barren mountains and entered the depths of a forest. Many ferocious beasts were eyeing them. The 8 hunters' eyes were like torches. They were on guard in all directions. The strong bows in their hands were ready to shoot. Roar! Just as the 9 of them regained their footing, at least a dozen wind giant wolves charged at them with wind blades. They were as fast as lightning, and even Yi Qinghan could only blink before these wind giant wolves appeared in front of them. Boom! Yi Qinghan subconsciously used shattering mountains and rivers with his finger and hit the head of a giant wolf. The giant wolf was sent flying dozens of meters away, and its huge body was crushed into minced meat. Bang! Boom! Yi Qinghan was even faster. He killed a wind giant wolf with a single finger, then clenched his fist and punched another one. Whoosh whoosh whoosh! Before the others could react, Yi Qinghan's figure flashed. He kicked the wolf's head and punched the wolf's body. Every punch and kick broke the wolf's bones. Howl! In the blink of an eye, he had killed 6 of the dozen wolves that had pounced on him. Roar! Yi Qinghan's aura surged as he roared, scram! The powerful aura mixed with the dragon's aura scared the wolves so much that they screamed and ran away, leaving behind the 8 dumbfounded hunters. They were trembling all over, especially the few great saints. Their combat power was too weak, and they were far inferior to the older experts of the Kuang sect. Bai Zishan's face was pale, and cold sweat fell like rain. He muttered hoarsely, "Why are there wine giant wolves here? Aren't they only found in the depths of the forest?" Thud! The 4 great saint hunters were so scared that they knelt on the ground, unable to summon any strength. The 3 immortal spirit immortals looked at Yi Qinghan in horror. This was not the combat power of an immortal earth immortal. Even the 3 clan elders of the Bai family village did not have such terrifying combat power. "Thank you for your help, Immortal Yi." Bai Chen and the other immortal spirit immortals swallowed their saliva and said in a trembling voice. Yi Qinghan shook his head and said calmly, "Everyone, cheer up. The creatures here are indeed stronger than I thought. These things are only in the immortal spirit immortal realm, but they can kill immortal earth immortals. Even I was almost bitten." Only then did Bai Zishan react. He bowed gratefully and said, "Thank you for your help, Brother Yi. Otherwise, we would have been wiped out this time." It's fine. Don't take it to heart. We're just helping each other." Yi Qinghan waved his hand and helped Bai Zishan up. He frowned and looked into the depths of the ancient forest. He asked curiously, "These wind giant wolves are so fast. Logically speaking, they shouldn't appear in these peripheral areas. Why did they suddenly appear? Bai Zishan was also puzzled. He whispered, "Brother Yi, these wind giant wolves are native creatures of the Celestial Wolf mountain range. They are about a city away from here. I don't know how they appeared here." Yi Qinghan rubbed his nose and looked into the depth. He didn't feel any special danger. He said, "It should be a migration of creatures caused by the climate change. It's not a big deal. Let's continue. I also want to find some immortal treasures. Since you are familiar with this place, let's work together." The 8 hunters were naturally delighted. Yi Qinghan was so strong. With him around, this mission wouldn't be too dangerous. Yi Qinghan took the lead. He broke a tree branch in his hand and spun it in his hand. His eyes were like lightning as he scanned the surroundings. His divine perception covered about 10,000 meters. He didn't find any danger, but he found many ordinary resources. He said, "There is no danger within 10,000 meters. Everyone, split up and search for resources. However, don't be too far away from me." Whoosh! The 8 hunters trusted Yi Qinghan very much. They quickly rushed into the distance. They were very familiar with the areas where immortal treasures grew. They were good at searching for resources. Soon, they had gathered many resources. Yi Qinghan waved his hand and broke a dozen tree branches. He wiped away the joints and forged them into spears. Roar! A ferocious beast rushed over and was about to pounce on Bai Chen. He was so frightened that his legs trembled and he hurriedly retreated. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan threw a tree branch that looked like a spear. It contained fierce immortal spiritual energy. It directly pierced through the ferocious beast's head and nailed it to the mountain rock. "Continue. Don't worry." Yi Qinghan walked quickly in the forest and said to the divine bird, "Quickly find some immortal treasures that you need. The creatures here are more terrifying than I thought. We can't stay here for long." Whoosh! The divine bird wasn't afraid of danger. From its point of view, Yi Qinghan was by its side. If he didn't die, it would never allow itself to die. No humans appeared in this large ancient forest all year round. There were many immortal herbs and resources. The divine bird specially picked some precious and rare materials. The more it didn't recognize them, the more it wanted to pick them. Yi Qinghan's divine perception spread further and further. It rushed from 10,000 meters to 30,000 meters. When he saw powerful creatures, he immediately shot them down to provide a relatively safe area for the divine bird and the 8 hunters. The 8 hunters' goal wasn't just immortal treasures and resources. The flesh and immortal cores of the ferocious beasts that they killed were more valuable, especially the immortal cores. They contained vast amounts of energy. A spirit immortal core could be sold for more than 10 celestial coins. An immortal earth immortal core could be sold for thousands of celestial coins. As for an immortal heaven immortal core, it was worth more than 10,000 celestial coins. It was priceless. Chapter 2299. The 8 hunters followed behind Yi Qinghan, eating and drinking well. In just half a day, they had collected tens of thousands of celestial coins, which was equivalent to half a year's income for the entire tribe. The deeper they went, the more valuable the resources were. They were afraid of the danger, but also looked forward to going deeper. Yi Qinghan would not stop until he got the resources he wanted. Besides, he had his own judgment. When he could no longer protect the divine bird, he would naturally stop going deeper. Whoosh! 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 Dozens of thin branches were broken, and he grabbed them in his hand. His eyes scanned the surroundings like lightning. Soon, some immortal earth, immortal level monsters appeared in the forest. Many of them lived in groups. The slightest carelessness could lead to death. After all, they were tens of thousands of meters away from each other. He could not guarantee everyone's safety. Shorten the distance. Don't be more than 5,000 meters away from me. Unless you find some extremely valuable resources, don't leave without permission, Yi Qinghan reminded them in a low voice. Bai Zishan and the others swallowed their saliva. They coveted the resources in the periphery. They were right in front of them, but they did not dare to pick them. Whoosh! The divine bird sped through the mountains. Those cliffs, blind corners, and narrow crevices were all its targets. Those places were rich in rare resources. Most importantly, they were old enough. Each stalk was worth thousands or even tens of thousands of celestial coins. What it had harvested in half a day was dozens of times more than what Bai Zishan and the others had. It was a professional treasure hunter. It had never disappointed Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan kept putting immortal treasures and spirit herbs into the immortal ring. The divine bird did not have an immortal ring, so it had no choice but to hand them over to Yi Qinghan. However, it had marked every stalk of immortal herb. If you don't give me the resources this time, I will never forgive you or trust you again, the divine bird threatened. Yi Qinghan snorted and said disdainfully, I'm not that despicable. I'll definitely do what I promised you this time. The divine bird exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. It was about to continue searching for treasures when suddenly, the beasts in the depths ran wildly. The earth shook and the mountains shook. A majestic airflow rolled in from the left. Beast tide. Yi Qinghan scanned the area with a cold glint in his eyes. Even though the airflow was still very weak, his divine sense was extremely powerful. He quickly realized that something was amiss and hurriedly said to the others, Return to the group and retreat. Whoosh! Bai Zishan and the other hunters quickly gathered towards Yi Qinghan and retreated. Sure enough, not long after, a large number of vicious beasts appeared in front of Yi Qinghan and the others. The vicious beasts flew through the air, and very shrill screams alerted Yi Qinghan. This group of vicious beasts only gathered because they were being hunted down. Let's retreat again. Yi Qinghan squinted his eyes and whispered. It was a man-made beast tide. It seemed like the people who were chasing after these ferocious beasts were very strong, and there were a lot of them. Whoosh! A white light flashed and rushed towards the center of the beast tide from behind. Because it was too fast, Yi Qinghan only saw a creature that looked very much like a snow fox. Its fur was as white as snow, and its speed was comparable to a mid-level immortal heaven immortal. The aura on its body also had the aura of an immortal heaven immortal. It should be a shape-shifting immortal beast. This white fox is... Yi Qinghan was shocked. An immortal white fox at the level of an immortal heaven immortal was actually being hunted down. It seemed like the people chasing after it were also immortal heaven immortals, and there were more than 2 or 3 of them. You there! Stop that white fox for me! An angry roar that shook the galaxy came from the left. The chi wave was clearly aimed at Yi Qinghan and Bai Zishan. Bai Zishan was shocked. Asking him to stop an immortal heaven immortal beast? Wouldn't that be suicide? Subconsciously, he still did not move. Yi Qinghan would not bother with an immortal heaven immortal. At this level, even if there were 30 or 40 of them, he would not care, let alone 1 or 2. Even if he could not kill them, he could still escape. Whoosh! A celestial immortal figure leaped into the air and roared, Are you deaf? If you don't want to move, then you can become a corpse. Roar. Boom. A beam of sword light swept out, cutting through more than 10 thick ancient trees and slashing towards Yi Qinghan. Boom. Yi Qinghan released his aura, and the golden bell shield protected the 8 hunters and the divine bird. He smashed through space with his palm and slammed into the sword chi, shattering the sharp immortal sword formed by the sword chi. He then easily took the 8 hunters and retreated more than 100 meters. The immortal heaven immortal was stunned. He turned to look at Yi Qinghan, then looked at the white fox that was fleeing into the distance. For a moment, he did not know which to kill first. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 figures rushed over. They were all immortal heaven immortals, and they were all dressed in the same color. Judging from their attire, they should be from some clan or sect. But judging from their ostentation, they should have a powerful background. Yi Qinghan subconsciously retreated, leading the 8 hunters with him. He stared at the approaching celestial immortals, then frowned and said, "You're chasing after your prey. We're just hunters. We don't want to get involved in your affairs." Bai Zishan was shocked when he saw their attire. He quickly reminded them, "They're from the Haolian immortal sect. Hunters of the Bai clan village greet you, my lords. We didn't know it was an order from the Haolian immortal sect, so we hesitated. Please don't take it to heart." Bai Zishan bowed respectfully. The leading immortal heaven immortal was enraged. He actually stopped chasing after the white fox and pointed his sword at Yi Qinghan. "A country bumpkin from the village dares to go against the will of this great immortal? I can't even catch the white fox. Today I'll vent my anger on you. Senior apprentice brother Huang, it's more important to chase after the white fox. She can already transform into an immortal and is worth 800,000 celestial coins. It's not worth it for this fool. After we finish our mission, we'll go to the Bai clan village to find him. We can even slaughter his entire village." Yi Qinghan's eyebrows sank and his eyes flashed with killing intent. These immortal heaven immortals were indeed very powerful. If he didn't have any special immortal items or defensive immortal treasures, it shouldn't be too hard to kill them. But he was afraid that something unexpected might happen. If even one of them escaped, it would cause a lot of trouble. Moreover, he couldn't trust these 8 hunters. At the very least, they would definitely choose the safety of the village over him. The immortal heaven immortal surnamed Huang gave Yi Qinghan a cold look, then put away his sword and snorted. "I'll spare your life for now. But go back and wash your neck. Wait for me to slaughter you." Whoosh, hua. The 13 immortal heaven immortals continued their pursuit in the direction of the beast tide, leaving Yi Qinghan and the 8 frightened hunters behind. Yi Qinghan clenched his fists and looked in the direction they left. Then, he turned to Bai Zishan and asked seriously, "What's the background of this Haolian immortal sect? Are there any immortal Xian immortal experts in the sect?" Bai Zishan nodded fearfully. The aura of fear was very obvious. If he had known earlier, he wouldn't have told this group of people about his identity. Now, he had brought a fatal disaster upon himself. Bai Zishan quickly explained the situation of the Haolian immortal sect. However, he didn't know much about it. Most of it was from hearsay. But overall, the Haolian immortal sect wasn't very powerful. At the very least, these 13 immortal heaven immortals probably didn't have any powerful immortal items or defensive immortal treasures. They should be able to kill them. "You guys go back first. I'll follow and take a look," Yi Qinghan said calmly. Chapter 2300. As soon as Yi Qinghan left, the 8 hunters trembled. A cold wind blew, causing Bai Zishan to break out in cold sweat. However, the only fortunate thing was that this path was opened up by Yi Qinghan. As long as they left quickly, there wouldn't be much danger. "Let's go back." Bai Zishan quickly led the 7 hunters back to where they came from. Yi Qinghan's figure was like a ghost as he followed the group of people from the Haolian immortal sect. The white fox was already nowhere to be seen. However, this group of people seemed to be able to predict the white fox's location. They kept changing directions and slowly broke away from the beast horde. "Head west. The white fox was hit by our divine light powder. It won't be able to escape." The leader, Huang Tianxian, shouted. The remaining 10 or so people shouted excitedly, "Ha ha, this fox immortal is priceless. If we meet a big customer, it'll be worth 1,000,000 immortal coins. This time, we've done a great service for the immortal sect. 1,000,000 immortal coins might be enough for me to reach the late stage of the sky immortal realm," Huang Tianxian said excitedly. "Xiu xiu xiu, hua." The 13 immortal immortals used stellar transposition to rush deeper. This was the foundation of the Haolian immortal sect. 80% of the sky immortal experts were here. If they all died here, the Haolian immortal sect would go crazy. Yi Qinghan stared coldly at Huang Tianxian. With a light wave of his hand, he broke off a tree branch. With a light swipe, he saw that the branch was covered in soul-stealing immortal runes. As long as he stabbed it, he would definitely be able to kill an immortal. I'm sorry. This is your senior brother Huang's fault. I didn't want to kill you. Yi Qinghan kept dodging, using the ancient trees as cover to get closer to the expert. Some of these immortals were fast and some were slow. There would always be some who were tens or even hundreds of meters behind. Yi Qinghan flashed through some bushes and appeared behind a rock. He retracted his aura and waited for the other immortals to pass by. Soon, 12 of them passed by. The one with the weakest cultivation base and the slowest speed appeared beside the rock. Yi Qinghan's staff pierced his head. A terrifying force shattered his sea of consciousness. The immortal runes were like thunder, destroying his body. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan took the corpse and hid in the brambles. The group of undying heavenly immortals didn't care about what was happening behind them. Yi Qinghan's control over his strength was extremely precise. Not a single bit of his strength leaked out. Yi Qinghan let out a breath of turbid air as he watched the group leave. Now it would be much more difficult to kill another one. After following this group of people for more than 3,000 miles, they finally caught up with the white fox. Only when the 12 experts surrounded the white fox did they realize that one person was missing. Where's Qing Shuang? Huang Tianxian asked coldly. I don't know. Maybe he got lost. Ignore him for now. The white fox is right before us. Let's capture it first, a formidable heavenly immortal said. Huang Tianxian waved his hand and said, capture him alive. If he's dead, he'll be worthless. Boom! Whoosh! The white fox was extremely fast. Its sharp claws could even pierce through the stable space of the immortal world. Boom! 12 experts surrounded him. Sword radiance swept out, destroying the mountains and rivers in all directions. Thousands of beasts fled in terror, and hundreds of birds soared into the sky. Screech! Roar! Whoosh whoosh whoosh! Mountains and rivers were sent flying. Sabers and swords flashed. The 12 immortal heavenly immortals' auras were like rainbows as they attacked, forcing the white fox to dodge everywhere. Whoosh! The white fox was simply too fast. It was so fast that there were afterimages everywhere within 1,000 meters. After hundreds of attacks, it still could not escape the encirclement. In the end, it could only kill these immortal heavenly immortals. The 1.5 miles away, atop a tall mountain, Yi Qinghan, dressed in a white robe, stood atop the mountain, looking down at the group of experts surrounding the white fox. The killing intent in his eyes grew stronger, but he did not act rashly. This was because the white fox's strength was even more terrifying than he had imagined. Its speed and sharp claws were enough to kill immortal heavenly immortals. It could even threaten his own life. Yi Qinghan waited silently. He waited for both sides to suffer. Roar! The white fox roared angrily and calmed down. After a few fights, it targeted a slightly weaker immortal heavenly immortal and chased after him. Splat! A moment later, that immortal heavenly immortal's defensive clothes were torn apart. Its sharp claws pierced through his right arm, and the sword in his hand flew out. Clang! Bang! The immortal sword pierced through the void and stabbed into the ground. The white fox wanted to kill this immortal heavenly immortal in one blow, but Huang Tianxian and the other experts followed closely behind, forcing the white fox to flee. Whoosh whoosh whoosh! Huang Tianxian's sword turned into 10,000 swords, sealing off the white fox's escape route. Boom! The immortal sword broke through mountains and rivers. The white fox kept attacking, but its snow-white fur was swept away and cut open. Blood stained the fox's body, turning it into a blood fox. This angered the white fox even more. Roar! The white fox roared and its sharp claws tore through huge trees. It twisted and turned, constantly attacking from behind the group of experts. Its speed nearly doubled, and in the blink of an eye, it heavily injured a heavenly immortal expert. Boom, boom, boom! Immortals were constantly injured. Their necks, throats, and arms were all covered in claw marks. However, the white fox's injuries were also getting worse. After several consecutive attacks, its body was almost pierced through. Huff, 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 the white fox panted, its eyes filled with despair. If its true body could not escape, it would be even more difficult to transform into human form. Yi Qinghan was expressionless. The wooden staff in his hand was filled with killing immortal patterns, even more terrifying than a powerful immortal weapon. His aura was restrained, and not a single ripple leaked out. His body was slightly bent, waiting for the final explosion. "Aren't you going to be the hero saving the beauty?" The divine bird looked at Yi Qinghan curiously. Yi Qinghan looked coldly at the battlefield and said indifferently, "Wait a little longer. These immortals are from orthodox sections. They are much stronger than unorthodox experts. I want to kill them all, not heavily injure them. I can't take the risk." He did not care about the white fox's life or death. No matter how beautiful the white fox was, it was not as important as his own life. Whoosh, screech! The white fox screamed and was sent flying several times. However, it struggled to stand up each time, glaring furiously at the group of immortals. The group of experts did not have it easy either. The white fox's speed was unparalleled, and its sharp claws were even more lethal. It left many injuries on the group of immortals. 4 of them had lost their ability to resist, and 3 were lightly injured. This was an impressive result. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan stealthily approached the battlefield with the wooden staff in hand. His eyes were like lightning, staring at his prey like a falcon. There were 12 people, and he had calculated the position of every single one of them. How to kill them all? This required a perfect plan. Kill Huang Tianxian first. He is the strongest. I have to kill him in one blow. I can't give him a chance to resist. Yi Qinghan muttered to himself. 2 kilometers, 1 kilometer, when Yi Qinghan was 300 meters away, the group was still wild with joy. This was because the white fox had lost its ability to resist. They were the most relaxed, and the swords in their hands were hanging down. Ha ha ha, we're rich. This white fox is so strong. It is the favorite slave of Xian, immortal expert. It should be worth more than 1,000,000 celestial coins. Huang Tianxian said joyfully. Congratulations, senior apprentice brother. The group of immortals laughed. Ha ha ha, I won't mistreat my junior apprentice brothers. Huang Tianxian laughed loudly. He wanted to grab the white fox lying in a pool of blood. Whoosh, squelch. A bolt of lightning pierced through the clouds, piercing through Huang Tianxian's head from the back. The immortal killing seal exploded in his sea of consciousness, blasting his limbs and bones. In an instant, a celestial immortal was killed. Huang Tianxian did not even have time to turn his head before he fell to the ground. Chapter 2301. Huang Tianxian fell to the ground before he could even see who killed him. Pucci, Yi Qinghan pulled out the wooden staff. The immortal runes had already been damaged. He waved his hand again and set up a new one. At this moment, he was already in the air, his body twisting as he stabbed another stunned, immortal heaven immortal. Boom! The thin wooden staff pierced through the throat. Yi Qinghan pushed the end of the staff with his palm, directly piercing it through the throat. His left hand grabbed the staff and pulled it out from the back of the immortal heaven immortal's neck. All of this happened in the blink of an eye. While everyone was still in a daze, he had already unleashed his third attack. Whoosh! The sixth finger of the sacred finger of annihilation was like a stampede of 10,000 beasts, flattening everything. It pressed down on the head of an uninjured immortal heaven immortal with a thunderous force, directly shattering his head. The powerful immortal heaven immortal's soul was so weak when it collided with Yi Qinghan's soul. Whoosh! When Yi Qinghan killed the third immortal heaven immortal, he was still in midair. His large hand touched the wooden staff, and the immortal runes filled the decaying staff. Whoosh! Poochie! Yi Qinghan unleashed his peak strength and threw out the wooden staff. It was like a javelin, but it contained the power to kill immortals. Pierced through the void and nailed another immortal heaven immortal to the mountain rock. Boom! The mountain rock was pierced through like tofu by the wooden staff. The corpse hung in the air, swaying with the wind. It took at most 3 breaths of time. During this time, everyone was in a daze. When Yi Qinghan killed the fourth immortal heaven immortal, they cried out in horror and took several steps back. They all drew their swords and pointed at Yi Qinghan. It's that country bumpkin. The Bai family village. The people of the Haolian immortal sect looked at Yi Qinghan in horror, recognizing Yi Qinghan's identity. Yi Qinghan waved his hand and broke a wooden staff. He smiled silently and replied, "I'm not from the Bai family village. A country bumpkin, perhaps. After all, I'm also from a small world in the countryside." Whoosh! The immortal killing runes once again covered the long rod, containing the power of immortal slaying. "You want to fight with us over the white fox?" One of the celestial immortals barked angrily. "Do you know who we are? The Haolian immortal sect will not let you off." Yi Qinghan raised the corners of his mouth into a mocking smile. He then turned to look at the dying white fox and calmly said, "I wasn't trying to fight for the white fox. You were the ones who tried to kill me. That's why I wanted to kill you. If you want to blame someone, you can only blame yourselves for shooting your mouths off and being blind as a bat." Whoosh! Roar! Yi Qinghan held the wooden stick and stabbed it out like an immortal sword. His speed was as fast as lightning. Without the restraint of his physical body, his terrifying soul was like a wild horse that had escaped its reins. In the blink of an eye, he had arrived in front of an immortal of the Haolian immortal sect. Roar! Bang! The other party's immortal sword tore apart the wooden stick, and the wooden stick instantly turned into 2 narrow and sharp strips. Its power was like lightning, unstoppable. The immortal sword pierced the other party's eyes twice. The immortal killing runes exploded in the other party's head, shattering its life force. Its final struggle caused a shockwave to surge into the sky. The white fox, lying in a pool of blood, was sent flying again. Boom! Bam bam bam! Yi Qinghan was also knocked back a few steps. His expression was somewhat ugly. "Die!" Yi Qinghan growled. He smashed the space with his palm, causing space-time to distort. It directly hit his physical body and sent him crashing into the mountain. 5 uninjured celestial immortals were instantly killed by Yi Qinghan's sneak attack. They were not weak, but Yi Qinghan was too strong. Coupled with the sneak attack, they were all killed in the blink of an eye. Only 4 celestial immortals were left, and 3 were lightly injured. These 7 were weak to begin with. Now that they were injured, their combat strength was much weaker. Yi Qinghan did not even consider them a threat. Ka. Swish, swish, swish. Yi Qinghan plucked the stars with one hand, directly breaking an ancient tree. The tree branches were as thick as a finger, and they were like arrows. Each arrow was covered with immortal killing runes. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan crossed his hands. With his will, he controlled hundreds of wooden arrows to rise into the air, all aimed at the injured celestial immortals. No. Fellow Taoist, you misunderstand. That was all Huang Chen's fault. It had nothing to do with us. The 3 celestial immortals who were not too badly injured cried out in alarm. They drew close to each other, pointing their swords at Yi Qinghan, seemingly begging for mercy. Yi Qinghan laughed coldly. Look at how you're aiming your swords at me, as though you want to kill me. Is this your senior apprentice brother's fault? The three celestial immortals' faces turned pale. They could tell that Yi Qinghan was ridiculously powerful. Given their combat strength, they were definitely no match for him. They wanted to beg for mercy, but they were also afraid that Yi Qinghan would not let them go. All they could do was stand there, stunned. Swish, 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 swish. The 100+ wooden arrows were divided into two groups. Roughly 40 arrows pierced through the void, stabbing into the four celestial immortals who were lying in pools of their own blood. Immortal runes exploded, killing them on the spot. Only 3 half-baked celestial immortals were left. Elders of a small celestial sect like this, whose true ability to kill was not even comparable to the people of Great Peak Mountain. Yi Qinghan did not care about them at all. Kill! One of them was incomparably terrified, but he had no other choice. Yi Qinghan had even killed the heavily injured. How could he let him go? He waved his hand, commanding the other two to attack Yi Qinghan together. Swish, 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 swish. The three experts joined forces, unleashing a sword formation similar to the tripartite formation. Their movements were uniform and their coordination was flawless. In the blink of an eye, they forced Yi Qinghan to retreat. Swish, swish, swish. The remaining dozens of wooden arrows shot towards the three celestial immortals from all directions, forcibly separating them. Kill! Swish, swish, swish. Sword light tore through the river, enveloping Yi Qinghan. The two celestial immortals were unstoppable. They attacked with all their might, but the celestial immortal who was about to attack first actually fled. Yi Qinghan was unable to kill the fleeing celestial immortal after being restrained. He furiously unleashed the fusion of 4 celestial techniques. The Immortal Sect's 5 elements Golden Bell Shield, the Sacred Finger of Annihilation, the Immortal Sect's 5 elements Transference Technique, and the space-piercing star-plucking palm all at the same time. Boom! One of the celestial immortals was sent flying, crashing into a mountain rock. He was dizzy from the impact. The other one was not in too bad of a state, but Yi Qinghan waved his hand, grabbing a wooden stick covered with immortal runes and nailing him to the ground. Swish! Yi Qinghan leaped into the air, slamming a palm into the chest of the other expert. The rock behind his back shattered. Bang! Yi Qinghan's palm turned into an elbow strike, smashing into the head. 12 of the 13 celestial immortals died, leaving only one who fled into the distance. Bang! With a leap, Yi Qinghan appeared in front of the white fox. Grabbing it, he transformed into a bolt of lightning and chased after the fleeing celestial immortal. His speed grew faster and faster, but celestial immortal Bushio had been gone for at least half an incense stick's worth of time. This time was enough for him to flee far, far away. Tell me, if that person fled towards the Haolian Immortal Sect, which path would he have taken? Yi Qinghan coldly asked, holding the white fox in his hand. The white fox was truly frightened. It had never seen such a terrifying celestial immortal in its life. How was this an celestial immortal? He was even more terrifying than an celestial immortal. Perhaps he would only lose to Xian immortals. Chapter 2302. The white fox's snow-like fur was dyed red, and there were at least 7 or 8 wounds on its body. However, it was able to severely injure 4 and injure 3 of the 12 celestial immortals. Its strength was considered top-notch. At this moment, the little white fox was curled up and moaning in pain. It was unable to reply. Yi Qinghan had lost track of the immortal celestial and knew nothing about this place. He could only rely on the little white fox, so he could only save the little white fox first. A strand of celestial spiritual energy slowly healed the little white fox's wounds and erased the wounds caused by the sword energy. A few life-saving celestial herbs were crushed into powder and stuffed into its mouth. The little white fox finally woke up. It opened its hazy eyes and looked very cute. Whoosh! Suddenly, the little white fox emitted celestial light in all directions. Specks of starlight shrouded it, and a girl's body gradually formed. Yi Qinghan's pupils constricted as he threw the little white fox onto the ground. In the blink of an eye, the little white fox immortal had transformed into a beautiful little girl. She had big eyes, snow-white skin, and a small cherry mouth. Her cuteness was enough to shatter any man's defenses. Especially her devilish figure. Her slender legs were exposed, and they were as white as lotus root. They were as straight as a line. Her upper body was slightly plump, but it made her look even more feminine. Especially her hurt and panicked expression, even in existence like Yi Qinghan's heart palpitated. Charming, enchanting, but with a trace of deadly purity. She did not look like a celestial being transformed from a demon fox at all. Little white fox immortal greets immortal immortal. Thank you immortal immortal for saving my life. The little white fox quickly stood up and said respectfully. Yi Qinghan's expression did not change. He still said coldly, less nonsense. Answer my question. If that person were to return to the Haoyan immortal sect, which path would he take? The little white fox immortal should have lived in this area and was very familiar with this place. She frowned slightly and pointed to the northwest. She said crisply, Immortal, that path is the closest. Whoosh! Whoosh! Yi Qinghan directly grabbed the little white fox immortal's small hand and ran wildly in the wilderness like lightning. His speed was definitely faster than the immortal celestial of the Haoyan immortal sect. Even the little white fox immortal felt inferior. Boom! Bang! Yi Qinghan's long legs were firm and powerful. Even the rocks on the mountain were shattered. His eyes roamed around, and his divine sense covered 1,000 meters. Not even an ant could escape from his divine sense. Tens of kilometers away, a heavily wounded celestial immortal was hiding in a cave in terror, hoping to escape Yi Qinghan's pursuit. His legs were trembling, and the webbing between his thumb and forefinger had been torn apart, with blood constantly oozing out. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, knock knock knock. The eternal celestial immortal had a look of panic on his face as he lay outside the cave, his heart thumping wildly. That damned bastard! When I return to the immortal sect, I'll definitely raze your stronghold to the ground, you bumpkin! Immortal Heaven Immortal said resentfully. However, just an hour ago, at the headquarters of the Haoyan immortal sect in the northwest of the Cloud Plaza, the guards guarding the immortal soul life plates of the immortal sect experts screamed in fear. Something bad has happened. The life tablets of Senior Uncle Huang and the other elders have all shattered. The little disciple was so shocked that he couldn't even stand properly. He scrambled to the main hall of the Haoyan immortal sect. The few remaining celestial immortals of the Haoyan immortal sect were all alarmed, and even the sect master was shaken out. No sect would be able to bear the loss of more than a dozen celestial immortals, let alone a half-baked sect like this. How could they not be angry when more than half of their 16 celestial immortals were killed in an instant? The sect master was not an immortal Xian immortal, but an immortal heaven immortal. However, his strength was extremely terrifying, and he was already a high-level celestial immortal. If he came personally, coupled with his immortal weapon and defensive immortal robe, Yi Qinghan would not be his match. Find out where junior brother Huang and the others were last seen. Find the murderer for me. Haoyan Zhengtai clenched his iron fist and shouted angrily. In the distant ancient forest, Yi Qinghan quickly found the location of the immortal heaven immortal. His powerful divine sense swept past the cave, but he pretended not to see it. The rod and arrow in his hand shone with immortal light, and the killing aura of the immortal patterns were exceptionally fierce. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan threw little white fox immortal aside and disappeared in a flash. The immortal heaven immortal hiding in the cave was terrified, and his heart was about to explode. His large eyes scanned the surroundings outside the cave, but he could not find Yi Qinghan's location. Where is he? Where did he go? The immortal heaven immortal expert murmured in horror. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan's figure flickered, and he appeared outside the cave. He said coldly, "Here." "Ah!" The immortal heaven immortal screamed like a little girl about to be ravaged. He was truly afraid of Yi Qinghan. Boom! Yi Qinghan slammed his palm on the man's chest, and a terrifying spiritual force swept into his sea of consciousness, wildly devouring it. A powerful low-level celestial immortal soul was actually so weak in front of Yi Qinghan's soul, an earth immortal. "No. I beg you." The immortal heaven immortal screamed, almost begging. Unfortunately, it was too late. A loose tongue can cause trouble. If their senior martial brother Huang hadn't wanted to kill Yi Qinghan and slaughter the entire stronghold, they wouldn't have been slaughtered. Yi Qinghan forcibly devoured the immortal heaven immortal's soul, and expressionlessly removed the immortal heaven immortal's ring from his finger. The immortal heaven immortal's ring was now in an ownerless state, and there were actually quite a few immortal coins inside, about 700,000 or 800,000 immortal coins. This was the lifetime savings of an immortal heaven immortal. There were also quite a few immortal herbs, worth a few 100,000 immortal coins. Oh no, what should I do? I forgot the immortal heaven immortal rings of those people. Yi Qinghan screamed. This was a huge fortune. His figure flashed, and he rushed out. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan's figure flashed, and he rushed past Little White Fox Immortal. "Where are you going, Great Immortal?" Little White Fox Immortal hurriedly chased after Yi Qinghan, but her speed was much slower than Yi Qinghan's. She simply returned to her original body, and her speed suddenly increased by several times. She was actually able to keep up with Yi Qinghan's speed. Yi Qinghan did not say anything, and instead, he rushed back the way he came. About an hour later, he arrived at the battlefield. The 11 corpses were not far from each other. Yi Qinghan quickly removed the immortal heaven immortal ring from his finger, and put it into his robes. Without even thinking, he said, "Do you want to die by staying here? The Haolian immortal sect will quickly investigate this place." Little White Fox Immortal stared innocently at Yi Qinghan, shook her head and replied, "I don't know where I'm going either. Wherever I go, I'll be chased. Why don't I acknowledge you as my master, and you can bring me away?" Yi Qinghan raised his eyebrows. He did not understand Little White Fox Immortal at all. No matter how beautiful she was still a demon, and he did not want to bring her along. Bring her along. She's worth nearly 1,000,000 celestial coins. The divine bird said wretchedly. Yi Qinghan's expression froze, and only then did he remember why this group of people was chasing Little White Fox. He nodded and said, "All right, sign a soul contract with me. I don't have a physical body, so I can't sign a master-servant contract. Let's have an equal contract." The reason why Little White Fox Immortal was willing to follow Yi Qinghan was because she didn't have a body of flesh and blood, so she couldn't sign a master-servant contract. An equal contract was the best. Besides, Yi Qinghan was strong enough, so it was safe to follow him. Whoosh! Little White Fox Immortal spat out a strand of origin, and directly formed a contract with Yi Qinghan's soul. Chapter 2303. Little Fox Immortal had an ulterior motive. She signed the contract without hesitation and merged with Yi Qinghan. The smell of blood in the ancient forest was still so strong. Yi Qinghan didn't have time to take the last immortal ring because he felt a murderous intent. It should be the people from Haolian Immortal School. Let's go. After Yi Qinghan merged with Little Fox Immortal, he followed Little Fox Immortal's instructions and rushed towards the northeast. When Yi Qinghan was about 10 miles away, 3 figures appeared on the battlefield. One of them was the sect master of Haolian Immortal School. Behind him were two supreme elders of Haolian Immortal School. All of them were high-level immortal heavenly immortals. They had white hair and a youthful face. They looked like immortals. However, the murderous intent in their eyes couldn't be concealed. 11 corpses were here and 2 were far away. The fatal wounds on their bodies were the same. They were all stabbed in the vital parts by rods. This person has a very thorough understanding of immortal runes. Is there such an immortal heavenly immortal around here? One of the elders asked in a deep voice. Haolian Jingtai took a deep breath and carefully looked at the corpses. He found that some of the corpses had scratches on them. They had the smell of fox immortal. It wasn't a bad smell. It was the smell of fox immortal. It was a kind of aphrodisiac for humans. Uncle Masters, we don't know the identity of the person who killed Junior Brother Huang and the others. However, Little Fox Immortal can patrol. Let's bring the corpses back first. Then, we'll ask Profound Immortal Yunguang to help us find Little Fox Immortal's whereabout. There aren't many of these things. Haolian Jingtai said in a deep voice. The two elders were furious. Of the 13 corpses, 6 of them were their direct disciples. They had spent so many years to cultivate these immortal heavenly immortals. Now all of them were dead. They couldn't suppress their murderous intent. This ancient forest was within the range of Yunguang City. With Profound Immortal Yunguang's help, even a profound immortal might not be able to get out. The 3 of them made up their minds. They put the 11 corpses into their own world. After searching for half a day, they found the remaining 2 corpses. Whoosh, whoosh. The 3 immortal heavenly immortals were extremely fast, even faster than Yi Qinghan. They were already infinitely close to the Xian immortal realm, but their potential had been exhausted, and they could only stay in this realm for the rest of their lives. Under fair conditions, almost no heavenly immortal realm experts could shake them. As the sky darkened, they left the ancient forest and returned to the sect late at night. That night, they informed the previous sect master of the Haolian Immortal Sect, Haolian Fenghua, who was the only Xian immortal in the sect. Fenghua Xian immortal had been cultivating in seclusion for countless years. His cultivation base had already stabilized at the early immortal Xian immortal realm. His understanding of immortal arts and secret techniques was already quite thorough. His combat strength was definitely far beyond Sikong Tanlang's. Xian Immortal Fenghua's hair was all white. He looked like he was past his prime, but his eyes were sharper than lightning. Jing Tai, how many Sky Immortal Elders died this time? Xian Immortal Fenghua asked coldly. Haolian Jingtai replied respectfully, a total of 17 heavenly immortal elders. This time, 13 of them were sacrificed. They chased after the white fox and none of them returned. Are there any special clues? Xian Immortal Fenghua frowned and asked. Haolian Jingtai placed the 13 corpses in the main hall. The wounds on the corpses were more or less the same. 12 of their immortal rings had also been taken away. Only 1 immortal ring was left. Just this immortal ring alone was worth a lot. Their foundations were even more profound. It was enough for them to establish a small sect. Immortal Rune Killing Restriction, Immortal Ring, Little White Fox Immortal. Investigate according to these 3 clues. I will ask Dao Friend Yun Guang for help. Daring to slaughter my Haolian Immortal Sect so brazenly, they must be tired of living. Xian Immortal Fenghua said coldly. The space in the hall twisted and Xian Immortal Fenghua disappeared without a trace. This was the power of a Xian Immortal. Yi Qinghan ran with Little White Fox Immortal. It took them 2 days to get out of the ancient forest. Little White Fox Immortal was dressed in white. She was so beautiful that she didn't look like a human. Yi Qinghan looked at her and felt that she was too high profile. However, Little White Fox Immortal liked to walk the world like a human. Yi Qinghan couldn't persuade her at all. If you follow me like this, we will be exposed sooner or later. Yi Qinghan's attitude was cold. He stared at little white fox immortal with pressure. Brother Yi, even if you run out on the streets and tell the world that you killed the 13 heavenly immortals, do you think anyone will believe you? Little white fox immortal snickered and asked. Yi Qinghan snorted and said unhappily, but don't forget, some of the corpses have your scratch marks. Fox immortal must be one of their clues. If you follow me, I will become a target of suspicion. Don't you understand this? Then I'll change my appearance. I can't change my appearance, but I can still change this face of mine that looks like a celestial fairy into something more ordinary. Little white fox immortal had a fawning smile on her face as she begged, actually, I really like to walk around the world like you humans. Just satisfy my curiosity. Yi Qinghan was helpless. He snorted. If you weren't familiar with Yunguang City and I didn't need you to show me the way, I would have thrown you away long ago. Little white fox immortal stuck out her tongue playfully and pulled Yi Qinghan into a small valley. A stream flowed down the valley and a waterfall roared. It was a fairyland. Wait for me for a while. Let me change my appearance. Little white fox immortal squatted beside the stream and polished a stone trough. She poured some clear water into it and used it as a mirror. Then she searched for some strange herbs. It seemed like it wasn't her first time changing her appearance. Little white fox immortal wiped her face and said with a smile, I yearn for humans. Every time I want to go out, I will change my appearance to hide my beauty and the unique body fragrance of a fox immortal. This body fragrance is an aphrodisiac to humans. I didn't expect you to have no reaction after smelling it. Are you not a man? Yi Qinghan rolled his eyes and was too lazy to answer. He sat on the stone and waited silently. Women who knew how to change their appearance were always troublesome. After more than 2 hours, when the sun was high up in the sky, Yi Qinghan was getting impatient. When he turned around, he couldn't help but be stunned. This girl didn't have any of her previous charm. Instead, she had become a village girl from a mountain village. She was more pure and cute, but less charming. The smell on her body had also disappeared. If not for her white clothes, Yi Qinghan would have thought that she was a different person. You! Yi Qinghan was shocked. He whispered, How long can this disguise last? Little white fox immortal stretched out 2 fingers and grinned, revealing a row of white teeth. She said proudly, 2 months. Even if you wash it with water, it won't be able to wash it off. Yi Qinghan was surprised. This was the first time he felt that little white fox immortal was still useful. Yi Qinghan said, Change into some old clothes and follow me. We will enter Yunguang City first and see if there is any special way to reach the ancient Emperor College faster. Chapter 2304. In the human territory, grasslands were everywhere. Many low-grade spiritual herbs were priceless in Eternal World. However, here, they were everywhere and no one wanted them. The immortal Qi was rich. Yi Qinghan led the village girl Little Fox Immortal to stroll in the sea of flowers. An immortal earth immortal led an immortal heaven immortal around. This was the first time something like this had happened and it attracted the attention of many people. Yi Qinghan lowered his head and kept a low profile. He did not want to attract attention. However, this little fox immortal might have really yearned for human life. She was curious about everything and was close to nature. Her actions always attracted people's attention. Can you be quiet? Yi Qinghan reprimanded in a low voice. Little Fox Immortal looked at Yi Qinghan innocently and asked in a low voice, Can't I move? Damn. Yi Qinghan slapped his head. He really wanted to force this little Fox Immortal down and teach her a lesson. Be quiet for now. After we leave Vast Cloud City, you can do whatever you want. I will even take the initiative to expose my location. Is that okay? Yi Qinghan said while gritting his teeth. Little Fox Immortal looked at Yi Qinghan curiously. She looked at him as if he was an idiot and asked seriously, Why? Are you sick? You are the one who is sick. I naturally have my own reasons for wanting to expose my location. Don't ask me. Yi Qinghan replied snappily. Little Fox Immortal curled her lips and silently followed Yi Qinghan. Her big eyes looked around and saw many experts emerging. There were also some spies from the government and the eyes of some forces. Yi Qinghan also found something wrong. Some of these people were clearly not ordinary adventurers or cultivators. The purpose in their eyes was too strong. Is the Haolian immortal sect so powerful? How long has it been and they are able to mobilize such a large number of experts to come find us? Yi Qinghan asked in surprise. Little Fox Immortal shook her head and replied, These people are not from the Haolian immortal sect. They should be experts from the government forces and some small forces. I don't think they are looking for us. Yi Qinghan pondered and said, Could it be that the people from Endless Peak Mountain sent the people from Vast Cloud City to find me? Yi Qinghan was not sure, but he could not take risks at will. He had to leave Yunguang City before he could reveal his identity. This way, he could attract the attention of Great Peak Mountain and Xikong City, lest they set their sights on the Kuang sect. Yi Qinghan held Little Fox Immortal's hand as they walked on the grassland in a low-key manner. They specifically walked on the roads that were sparsely populated. However, he discovered a problem. The main target of these spies was the immortal heaven immortals. As an earth immortal, he was not noticed at all. It's not someone from Ultimate Peak Mountain. Otherwise, they would mainly pay attention to earth immortals. Not to mention, I'm just a soul body. Yi Qinghan quickly determined that the other party's actions were not from Endless Peak Mountain. He finally breathed a sigh of relief. Since it was not from Endless Peak Mountain, then there was nothing to be afraid of from the Haolian immortal sect. You seem to have other worries. Do you have other enemies? Little Fox Immortal asked curiously. Yi Qinghan snorted and did not answer Little Fox Immortal. He was really afraid that this guy would betray him. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan's figure flashed as he brought Little Fox Immortal along the official road. There were all kinds of people on the road. There were human-shaped monsters, giants in the form of giant beasts, and even people in the form of immortal herbs. Most of their cultivation bases were between immortal earth immortals and immortal spirit immortals. Immortal heaven immortals rarely traveled outside, and even if they did, they would not appear on the official road. Suppress your realm and maintain the immortal earth immortal realm. Yi Qinghan whispered. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Yi Qinghan brought Little Fox Immortal a few days later into a market. This was not a small town. It was just a temporary market. The location could change at any time. A large number of experts were here to exchange for resources. From the immortal heaven immortal realm to the small saint realm, the road was filled with adventurers and caravans. People from all over the place gathered here. There are still 5 days to trade. Quickly prepare the goods and set off. A few middle-aged men brushed past Yi Qinghan. Their voices were not soft. They revealed a piece of information. This market could exist for at most 5 days. After the trade, this group of people would go their separate ways. Yi Qinghan touched his nose and decided to trade for an immortal horse. This way, the speed would be much faster. Let's go. Let's see if there is anything we need in the market. Yi Qinghan said indifferently. There were all kinds of treasures. They were all found by adventurers deep in the mountains. There were many things that they did not recognize. However, Little Fox Immortal grew up in the mountains. She knew many of the immortal medicines and even understood their effect. There are many treasures. Unfortunately, I don't have any immortal coins. Otherwise, I could buy some. Little Fox Immortal said excitedly. Divine Bird was already going crazy. Its feathers spread out and its claws grabbed onto Yi Qinghan's clothes. Its eyes stared at the treasures around it. It was drooling. Gulp. Divine Bird swallowed its saliva and said, Boss, why don't we take this opportunity to buy some? If we miss this opportunity, there won't be another one. Yi Qinghan nodded indifferently. He said to Divine Bird and Little Fox Immortal, "Wake me up when I see a very important treasure. There are about a few million immortal coins in these immortal rings. It should be enough for us." At this time, Little Fox Immortal and Divine Bird were excited. They practically pulled Yi Qinghan around and pointed at some strange immortal treasures. Yi Qinghan was really a country bumpkin. He did not know anything about the immortal realm. However, since Little Fox Immortal and Divine Bird approved of it, there was only one word, and that was, buy. Buy. Little Fox Immortal was in charge of bargaining. Yi Qinghan was in charge of paying the immortal coins. It had to be said that bargaining was a woman's nature. The same was true for shopping. Little Fox Immortal's eyes lit up when she saw the real immortal treasures. When others saw her expression, how could she let it go? Therefore, the price could not be cut much. However, Little Fox Immortal was very happy. Some special treasures, after Little Fox Immortal cut down the price, she would directly put them into her immortal ring. No matter how Yi Qinghan fought, she would not take them out. In the end, she could only comply. In just one day, Yi Qinghan had spent 1,000,000 celestial coins. He really spent money like water. He was a complete local tyrant. Soon, the news spread throughout the bazaar. Many people were looking forward to Yi Qinghan coming to their shop. However, the things that the Divine Bird and Little Fox Immortal took a fancy to were not substandard good. The most important thing was that they were practical. Ordinary goods could not enter their eyes. At night, when everyone was resting, Yi Qinghan purchased a tent. Something that usually cost only a few celestial coins was sold for a few hundred celestial coins. "You and I are sharing a tent. Don't waste a few hundred celestial coins," Yi Qinghan said calmly. Little Fox Immortal charmingly smiled, threw a coquettish wink and said, "As long as you're not afraid, I don't care." Yi Qinghan shuddered. It was best not to provoke this kind of woman. Otherwise, sooner or later, he would be ******************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************* Han quickly set up a tent that was big enough for 2 people. Then, he set up an array formation around the tent. No matter what was discussed in the tent, no one outside would be able to know. Chapter 2305. The market was surrounded by tents with a radius of about 3 or 4 miles. There were countless tents and bonfires swaying in group. Only a few celestial immortal realm experts were moving alone. Yi Qing Han and Little Fox Immortal entered the tent. The divine bird consciously sealed itself in its blood, not daring to disturb the 2 of them. However, Yi Qing Han was not interested in Little Fox Immortal at this time and did not dare to provoke her. So, once he entered the tent, he turned his back to Little Fox Immortal and silently adjusted his breath. Little Fox Immortal looked at Yi Qing Han's back and glared at him. She said angrily, "Everyone wants to capture me as a slave. Now that I'm in front of you, you turn your back to me. Has your brain been kicked by a ferocious beast?" Yi Qing Han replied indifferently, "You also said that I only want to capture you as a slave. If you want to be my slave, I don't mind. All things are equal. I am not a celestial immortal. Why should I be your slave?" Little Fox Immortal asked angrily. Yi Qing Han's eyelids twitched. He turned his head to look at Little Fox Immortal, but Little Fox Immortal stretched her head over to lie on top of Yi Qing Han's head. Their lips almost touched. Hua! Little Fox Immortal did not seem to be afraid of strangers and did not care about reputation. She directly rode on Yi Qing Han. Hiss hiss hiss. Little Fox Immortal's 5 slender fingernails pierced out and pressed them against Yi Qing Han's neck. She turned hostile as if she was flipping the pages of a book. She sneered and threatened, "You are indeed very powerful, but it doesn't seem that difficult for me to kill you." Yi Qing Han's hair stood on end and he broke out in cold sweat. What Little Fox Immortal said was true. He was in a soul state. With little fox immortal's claws on his neck at such a close distance, he did not even have a chance to resist. Are you crazy? Hurry up and take it away. I'm in a soul body. It's easy to die. Yi Qinghan glared at little fox immortal and said. In the tent, the atmosphere was particularly strange. Little fox immortal's body was emitting a strong aphrodisiac. This was not intentional. She involuntarily emitted this kind of smell when she was emotional. However, it was an extremely fatal temptation to humans. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan took a few deep breaths. He wanted to push Little Fox Fairy's claws away, but Little Fox Fairy's big eyes stared at him. It seemed that she was not joking, so he did not dare to mess around. Little Fox Immortal, I saved your life. Yi Qinghan stared at the beautiful Little Fox Immortal and reminded her in a deep voice. Little Fox Immortal sneered and replied, So what? You humans approach me. Which one of you doesn't have a motive? What are you pretending for? F***ck. I just want you to lead the way for me. Do you have to be like this? Yi Qinghan roared angrily. Lead the way? What did you just say about slaves? Still want to pretend? You dare to say that you are not interested in me? Little Who Immortal sneered disdainfully. Yi Qinghan looked at the voluptuous Little Fox Immortal and swallowed a mouthful of saliva. He firmly shook his head and said, I'm not interested in you. At least, I'm not interested in you now. Really? I don't believe it. Little Fox Immortal seemed to be even angrier. She clasped Yi Qinghan's neck with one hand. As long as she exerted a little force, Yi Qinghan's soul might suffer an irreparable blow, causing him to not dare to move. Her other hand gently stroked his chest, and the immortal robe was quickly undone. What are you doing? Yi Qinghan asked nervously. Little Fox Immortal laughed evilly. Although I have not mated with a human before, my clansmen have said that as long as a human has a reaction, it means that they are interested in us Fox Immortals. In the end, it will evolve into a perverted greed. They want to tame us as slaves, specifically to amuse themselves. If you don't have a reaction, I will spare you. If you have a reaction, Yi Qinghan flew into a rage and angrily rebuked. Which psychopath told you that? Which man would not have a reaction after being touched by a woman like that? Not to mention you, even if any fairy came, I would have a reaction. Our clan elder told me. She would not lie to me. There is no good person among humans. Little Fox Immortal was abnormally firm. Her jade hand directly reached into Yi Qinghan's chest. This kind of teasing technique was very vicious. It was definitely professionally trained. Our clan elder specially trained us so that we can save our lives at critical moment. Even if we are captured and tamed as slaves by humans, we will be especially dependent on us. Little Fox Immortal said confidently. Yi Qinghan's forehead was already covered in cold sweat. This Little Fox Immortal was simply crazy. Your clan elder is a psychopath. Hurry up and let go of me. I will pretend that nothing happened. Yi Qinghan said in a deep voice. Humph. Little Fox Immortal's legs exerted force and directly pressed down on Yi Qinghan's long legs. Her slender nails were already blossoming with 7-colored immortal light. This was clearly a poison. As long as it cut Yi Qinghan's soul, no matter how strong his soul was, he would still die here today. Yi Qinghan exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. Seeing that Little Fox Immortal did not seem to be joking, he could not help but laugh at himself. He did not think that he would die in the hands of his own immortal pet. I really should not have believed you. Humph. What are you doing? Take your hand out. Yi Qinghan was shocked. This Little Fox Immortal actually grabbed his second head. If she exerted force, his entire person would be crippled. Little Fox Immortal grinned and mocked. You still say that you have no thoughts about me? You just touched me and you can't stand it anymore. Hypocrite. The immortal realm is filled with shameless villains like you. Yi Qinghan was really speechless. This woman was really stupid. Was she really a fox immortal? Why was she like a village girl? Don't touch there. Move your hand away and I will tell you some common sense. How about it? Yi Qinghan said with a bitter smile. Let's just say it like this. Don't think of sneak attacking me. I am not stupid. Otherwise, I would not have escaped the pursuit of so many people. Little Fox Immortal said proudly. Yi Qinghan's face turned red. The smell on Little Fox Immortal's body was too strange. It made his soul somewhat unable to control it. Especially his second head. He was completely under her control. It was as if he was about to explode. If this continued, he would sooner or later go crazy. Little Fox Immortal didn't think much of it. She gently caressed Yi Qinghan's soul. The physical body created by the soul body was no different from a real physical body. It had flesh and blood, but this physical body was much weaker than his golden body of utmost holiness. It couldn't withstand Little Fox Immortal's attacks at all. Yi Qinghan's entire body was covered in goosebumps. This was the first time in his life that he was being teased by a woman. He was still frightened. This woman would play him to death sooner or later. Little Fox Immortal slowly moved her body. She pressed one hand on his neck and kept asking. Shame. An unprecedented shame shrouded Yi Qinghan's heart. Little Fox Immortal's face was full of curiosity. It was as if she was seeing a man's second head for the first time. She stared curiously. So strange. It doesn't seem as ugly as the clan elder said. Little Fox Immortal was like a curious baby. She kept rubbing and pinching. She found it very interesting. Yi Qinghan's tears were about to come out. It was too painful. This was more terrible than poison. This demon woman was the world's most bewitching demon fox. Moreover, she was a celestial immortal. The key was that he could not move. Otherwise, her claws could easily pierce his soul. Little Fox Immortal, let go first. I will do whatever you say. I can't stand it anymore. Yi Qinghan growled. Chapter 2306. At this moment, Yi Qinghan, who was in the tent, did not feel good at all, nor did he feel excited. Under the threat of death, Little Fox Immortal's aura was particularly strange, which made him furious. Killing intent flashed in his eyes, but in order to not anger Little Fox Immortal, he had to endure it. However, Little White Fox Immortal completely treated Yi Qinghan as a test subject. She constantly looked him up and down, staring at him with her big eyes as if she could find some treasure. Ka ka ka. Yi Qinghan clenched his iron fist, his 5 fingers piercing into the ground. He looked at Little Fox Immortal coldly and said, If you kill me today, will you be able to survive the pursuit of so many people? Little Fox Immortal was surprised and innocently replied, I didn't say I was going to kill you. Then have you played enough? Yi Qinghan coldly reprimanded. No, I have decided to sign a new contract with you. A master-servant contract. I am the master and you are the slave. Little Fox Immortal said with a smile. Hiss hiss hiss. Yi Qinghan was almost angered to death. If he could turn things around today, he would definitely kill this Fox Immortal. No, sell her to others as a female slave. Yi Qinghan was ruthless. Even Fanine and Green Lotus Sword Immortal did not have a good ending after offending him, let alone a Little Fox Immortal who used him. As long as there was a chance, he would torture her until she doubted her life. Unfortunately, Little Fox Immortal did not give him the chance. The strong aphrodisiac smell and those hands were fatal, causing Yi Qinghan's immortal soul to twitch and almost go insane. A master-servant contract. With Yi Qinghan's current soul state, he could not be the master, but he could be the slave. Little Fox Immortal wanted to completely conquer Yi Qinghan, but the premise was that she had to make Yi Qinghan's soul and will collapse. She had to take advantage of him when he was at his weakest. Yi Qinghan's eyes were no longer clear and became red. His soul and will were quickly collapsing, almost on the verge of collapse. Relax, relax. From now on, you're mine. I have the responsibility to release you. The ghostly voice had a corrosive effect, causing Yi Qinghan's soul and will to gradually sink into a state of nothingness. As long as he completely lost his resistance, he would truly become Little Fox Immortal's slave. Little Fox Fairy seemed to be proficient in this technology, but she looked very inexperienced. Her theoretical knowledge was very powerful, but her practical ability was not as good as her theoretical knowledge. Otherwise, Yi Qinghan would have collapsed long ago. Yi Qinghan's eyes lost focus and his will collapsed. What awaited him was the fate of being a slave for the rest of his life. Little Fox Immortal was waiting for the moment when he collapsed. Her jade-like hands were a little sore and she couldn't help but feel a little anxious. She licked the corner of her mouth as if she was struggling, but she still decided to take down Yi Qinghan. She slowly lowered her head and bit Yi Qinghan's second leader. Yi Qinghan was on the verge of collapse at this moment. That tongue was as attractive as a whirlpool. His entire soul was sucked into the whirlpool. No matter how he struggled, he could not break free from the power of the whirlpool. If he fell into it, it would be hell. If he broke free, it would be heaven. Yi Qinghan desperately held onto the last strand of his will in the depths of his heart. His mental strength exploded to the extreme as he waited for an opportunity. Little Fox Immortal seemed to be too confident in herself. The fingers that were locking onto Yi Qinghan's neck loosened. At this moment of imminent peril, he seized the last opportunity. His right hand reached out and grabbed her right hand. His left hand reached out and grabbed the wrist of her left hand. He fiercely flung Little Fox Immortal to the side. He leaned forward and sat on her neck. Bang! Yi Qinghan exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. His knees pressed down on Little Fox Immortal's hands, and he began to hit her left and right. Slap, slap, slap. Little Fox Immortal's face was slapped by Yi Qinghan more than 10 times. Her ears rang incessantly. You're courting death. I saw that you were pitiful, so I saved you. You actually repaid kindness with enmity and wanted to make me a slave. Today I will make you regret being born into this world. Woo-woo, Little Fox Immortal was caught off guard. She was directly slapped by Yi Qinghan. She could not shake off Yi Qinghan's suppression. Her mouth was wide open as she gasped for air. Tears flowed down her face. After all, it was too painful. Unfortunately, Yi Qinghan did not want to have tender feelings for the fairer sex at this moment. If he did not vent at this moment, he would soon be possessed by the devil. His eyes were glowing red, so he directly sent his second master into her little mouth. Roar! Yi Qinghan attacked dozens of times. Each time, he used all his strength and directly sent the essence into her throat. You're the one who's courting death. You can't blame anyone else. Yi Qinghan grabbed Little Fox Immortal's neck and swallowed her. Little Fox Immortal's face was red from suffocation. Her face was full of horror. Her delicate and pitiful appearance was very pitiful. Unfortunately, she could not even say a word. Since you like slaves so much, I will sell you to others and let them train you as a slave. I will let you enjoy life. Bang, bang, bang. Yi Qinghan directly sealed Little Fox Immortal's life gate and controlled her immortal soul. Then, he threw her to the ground and quickly put on his clothes. He was really angry. No. Master, please spare me this time. Little Fox Immortal knelt on the ground and cried out in fear. Yi Qinghan put on his clothes and coldly looked at Little Fox Immortal, who was kneeling on the ground. The corner of his mouth revealed a sneer and mocked. Do you think I will spare you? When you did such a thing, you should have thought of the consequences if you failed. I was joking with you. Woo-woo. You have hit me and vented your anger. Please spare me. It hurts. Little Fox Immortal wiped her tears and begged for mercy. Sorry, the word forgive does not exist in my mind. If you offend me, there is only one fate, and that is misery. Yi Qinghan said coldly. Then, he sat cross-legged on the ground and adjusted his breath. At this moment, his soul and will were somewhat chaotic. If he did not adjust his breath now, it would be too late. At this moment, Little Fox Immortal knelt on the ground in fear and did not dare to move. She no longer had any immortal spiritual power. Her life gate and immortal soul were suppressed. Now anyone could kill her. She could only beg Yi Qinghan to give her another chance. But now Yi Qinghan was adjusting his breath. She did not even dare to speak for fear of angering Yi Qinghan again. After Yi Qinghan vented his anger, his soul finally relaxed. The feeling of escaping from death left him with lingering fear. Sure enough, in the world of cultivators, one could not casually trust people or things. Until dawn, Yi Qinghan finally stabilized his soul. However, after experiencing what had just happened, his soul had actually improved. After all, Little Fox Immortal had caused him great harm. That kind of explosive potential in a situation of certain death was extraordinary. Yi Qinghan swallowed a few more immortal herbs and stabilized his undying earth immortal realm. The next step was to reach the advanced undying earth immortal realm. At that time, even if the sect leader of Haolian immortal sect came personally, he might not be a match for him. He cultivated until dawn. Little Fox Immortal knelt for the whole night and did not dare to stand up. She looked at Yi Qinghan hesitantly. A ray of morning light rose in the east. Many people had already started to trade. Yi Qinghan had only refined about half of the immortal herb. After all, the immortal herbs were not immortal medicines and were difficult to refine. It was already good enough that he could refine half of it. Hua! Yi Qinghan opened his eyes. His gaze was more aggressive. He had successfully stabilized his undying earth immortal realm and was only half a step away from the advanced undying earth immortal realm. He looked down at Little Fox Immortal who was kneeling on the ground. The murderous intent in his eyes was no longer concealed. I heard that you are worth 1 million immortal coins. I think you are worth it. Yi Qinghan sneered. Bang bang bang. Heavenly Immortal, please spare me. I won't dare to do it again. Don't sell me off. Woo woo woo. Little Fox Immortal begged in panic. Hua! Yi Qinghan stood up and said indifferently. If you follow me, you will find that it is better to be someone else's slave. I gave you a chance but you didn't take it. You took the initiative to follow me. Don't make me use force. After speaking, Yi Qinghan walked out of the tent and kept it in his immortal ring. Little Fox Immortal was still kneeling there. She was so conspicuous. Chapter 2307. Just as Yi Qinghan was about to grab the Little Fox Immortal, two youths walked up from behind and were still having an intense discussion. Hee, if we can find that little white fox immortal this time, we'll be rich. Not only will we be rewarded by the Haolian Immortal Sect, but we'll also be personally received by the Cloud Guang City Governor and the previous sect master of the Haolian Immortal Sect. I really don't understand. Even a Xian Immortal wants to buy a Fox Immortal? Is this Fox Immortal's beauty really that great? You don't understand. Once you reach the Xian Immortal level, it is as difficult as ascending to heaven. Since you are already immortal, you might as well enjoy life. Little Fox Immortal is a top-quality product. I heard that many big shots are loyal to her. As the two youths discussed, they quickly passed by Yi Qinghan's back and obediently disappeared into the crowd. Yi Qinghan was shocked. From these few words, he came to the conclusion that Haolian Immortal Sect and Yunguang City had teamed up for Little White Fox Immortal. This meant that they had also found clues. They would first find Little White Fox Immortal, and then find the murderer who killed the 13 Immortal Heaven Immortals. I can't sell Little White Fox Immortal. If she is found out, wouldn't I be exposed? Yi Qinghan secretly whispered. His attitude suddenly changed. He hugged Little Fox Immortal and said, "Don't be sad. How can I bear to sell you? Okay, don't cry. Be good. I will take you to continue shopping. In terms of the speed of changing faces, Yi Qinghan was not bad. Little Fox Immortal was extremely scared and did not pay attention to what the two were talking about. She thought that Yi Qinghan was really joking. Only then did she wipe away her tears and looked at Yi Qinghan pitifully. Look at you crying like a pear blossom. Let's not talk about other things. Just look at your outstanding beauty and lovable appearance. How could I bear to sell you off? It would be such a pity. Yi Qinghan earnestly patted Little Fox Immortal's head and said. Little Fox Immortal was stunned by Yi Qinghan. She looked up at Yi Qinghan and saw that he did not seem to be joking. She suddenly felt wronged like a 3-year-old child. She lay in Yi Qinghan's arms and wailed. Woo! I really know that I was wrong. My face hurts, it is swollen, woo-woo. Little Fox Immortal's face was really swollen. Yi Qinghan used all his strength. Her face was still burning. Yi Qinghan raised a smile and looked down at Little Fox Immortal. At this time, where was her beauty? If he threw her out and said she was Little Fox Immortal, no one would believe him. Little Fox Immortal was Yi Qinghan was immortal. Yi Qinghan was immortal was. Immortal was Yi. Immortal Imimin. Little Fox Immortal was now afraid of Yi Qinghan. She did not dare to refute. She could only silently follow Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan took Little Fox Immortal and woke up the divine bird. The divine bird looked at Little Fox Immortal and asked in surprise, Damn, where did you learn this disguise technique? You don't even have your original appearance. Little Fox Immortal's tears fell uncontrollably. She wiped her tears with her arm and walked alone with her head down. She did not even bother with the divine bird. The divine bird observed closely and found that the 5-finger mark was very clear. It knew that she had violated Yi Qinghan's bottom line. It did not say anything else. A man, a bird and an immortal fox wandered around the market for a long time. It was peaceful here. There were no quarrels or forced sales. After all, everyone was living on the edge of a knife. No one dared to cause trouble. This group of people was very united. Even celestial immortals did not dare to bully people here. In the remaining 4 days, Yi Qinghan took Little Fox Immortal to buy more than 1,000,000 celestial coins worth of resources. There were all kinds of immortal treasures, refining materials and so on. The quality was very good. Yi Qinghan prepared a set of materials for forging celestial immortals and a set of materials for top-grade immortal clothes. Without a physical body, the equipment must pass. No matter how many celestial coins one had, it was to strengthen oneself. There was no use in guarding this money. If one died, it would only be a wedding dress for others. Yi Qinghan did not feel the heartache. He spent money like water. With enough capital, he would get back 10 times or even 1,000 times the money. In a total of 5 days, Yi Qinghan used 3 million celestial coins to exchange for a large amount of treasures and immortal materials. He also bought a higher-level immortal winged divine horse. This kind of horse could not only fly, it had good endurance and speed. It could also cross mountains on land. The swelling on Little Fox Immortal's face had not subsided and her strength had not recovered. These few days, she was more well-behaved. She listened to Yi Qinghan's words and did not dare to go against him. The resources are almost all bought. Let's go to Yunguang City and see if there are any large-scale teleportation arrays or buy a large-scale Immortal Kingdom map. Yi Qinghan leaped onto the immortal horse and reached out to pull Little Fox Immortal onto the horse's back. Whoosh! Hiss hiss hiss! The immortal horse neighed and soared into the sky. In the blink of an eye, it rushed into the clouds and went straight into Yunguang City. Immortal Hao Lian and the city lord of Yunguang City did not expect Yi Qinghan to run into the city. They sent a large number of experts to run outside the city and arranged some people at the city gate. However, these people did not contribute much. They could be bribed with a little money. The immortal horse's speed was about the same as Little Fox Immortal, but its endurance was hundreds of times better. After running for half a month, Yunguang City came into sight. It was only half a month. To an immortal, it was as simple as eating a meal. Boom! The immortal horse landed outside the city gate. There were many people coming and going on the road. No one paid attention to Yi Qinghan and Little Fox Immortal. However, this immortal horse was of immortal level and was worth more than 100,000 celestial coins. It was not something that ordinary people could own. A few guards' eyes lit up and took the initiative to welcome them. I wonder which clan's young master is this young master from? The guards took the initiative to welcome Yi Qinghan and helped him hold the reins of the horse. They said flatteringly. Yi Qinghan had an elegant bearing. A noble temperament came from his bones. If he said that he was a prince of the celestial nation, the son of a king, no one would dare to doubt him. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan brought Little Fox Immortal down from the immortal horse. He secretly undid her seal and wiped away the swelling on her face. He waved his hand and took out a few thousand celestial coins and threw it to the four guards. He said indifferently, "Who will bring me into the city? Be my guide." The four guards' eyes widened. This was more than just generous. He gave out a few thousand celestial coins to whoever offered. Moreover, he gave out 4 portions, a total of 10,000 celestial coins. At this moment, a leader rushed over. He glared at the 4 of them angrily and reprimanded, "What are the 4 of you doing? Is this young master someone you can communicate with? Can't you see that he is of noble status?" The guard captain looked at Yi Qinghan with a flattering expression and said, "Young master, this lowly one is willing to serve you like a dog or horse. I am the most familiar with the city." Yi Qinghan could not be bothered to say more. He nodded and said, "That's good. Lead the way. You will be rewarded." "My name is Xiafan. Young master, please," the captain said happily. Yi Qinghan snorted and walked into the city. He said indifferently, "It is quite annoying." Chapter 2308. This was Yi Qinghan's first time entering the city of the undying, immortal realm. Compared to Eternal World, this city was like a holy land. It was majestic and filled with towering immortal ruins. Little Fox Immortal had once disguised herself as a human and entered the city. However, she was too careful to observe the city. This time, she followed Yi Qinghan. Although she was still scared witless, she was in a much better state than before. "Little Xia, my map of the Dragon Emperor Immortal Kingdom was accidentally destroyed. Bring me to buy a complete map of the Dragon Emperor Immortal Kingdom first," Yi Qinghan said coolly. Xia Fanren led the horse and said flatteringly, "Young master, please follow me. This area is my territory. I can give you a discount." Yi Qinghan walked along the main street. This street was filled with flowers and was much more prosperous than the Holy Lands. Experts were as common as clouds, and they kept a low profile in the city. However, most of them were undying earth immortals and undying spirit immortals. The number of heavenly immortals was not too high. Along the way, Yi Qinghan used a very tactful method to inquire about some information. He found out that the Haolian Immortal sect had asked profound Immortal Yunguang for help and was wantonly searching for him and Little White Fox Immortal. Although he was expressionless, he was becoming more cautious. He had offended more and more people, and their forces were not small. If a profound immortal were to capture him, he would not be able to escape. The Haolian Immortal sect has been arrogant and despotic in Yunguang City for hundreds of thousands of years. No one has dared to offend them. Now, more than 10 of their undying heavenly immortals have been wiped out. They are now frantically searching for them. If anyone were to bump into them, they would be finished. Also, the killer cannot be underestimated. None of the 13 heavenly immortals survive. He is a ruthless person, Xia Fanren reminded with a flattering smile. Yi Qinghan snorted and said coolly, "This young master doesn't care about the small Haolian immortal sect. As for the killer, as long as I don't offend him, he will not target me. I am a student of the ancient Emperor Academy. Who would dare to not give me face?" "What? You? You are a top student of the ancient Emperor Academy? No wonder you have such an imposing appearance and extraordinary temperament. I heard that the students who graduated from the ancient Emperor Academy are all low-level immortal Xian immortals at the very least. Your future is limitless." Xia Fanren flattered. Yi Qinghan pretended to be calm as he replied, "Oh? You seem to know a lot about the ancient Emperor Academy." That's right. Normally, I'm just a gatekeeper. It's very boring. I know a little bit about everything. People say that the Yunguang city is full of information," Xia Fan said flatteringly. There were not many guards in the city who could do this. Yi Qinghan did not know if he should despise him or admire him. At the very least, someone like him who was willing to put down his pride, earn money, and live as a person was worthy of admiration to his family. To think that a small city like this would have such a talent. "Tell me, how much do you know about the ancient Emperor Academy? Do you know where its coordinates are?" Yi Qinghan looked at Xia Fanren with a teasing expression. It seemed like a test, but in reality, it was just to find out the location of the ancient Emperor Academy. The ancient Emperor Academy is located in the eastern region of the Immortal Empire. Those who can enter are all geniuses that are 1 in 10,000. I heard that those who want to enter the ancient Emperor Academy can't rely on their status. If they don't have talent, even the princes can forget about entering, let alone those from wealthy families. Everyone says that the ancient Emperor Academy is a humble academy, and that's not a lie. Half of the students in the academy are from humble families. Therefore, the ancient Emperor Academy has a good reputation in the entire undying immortal world. The rules of the ancient Emperor Academy state that those who graduate from the academy are not allowed to commit crimes. Xia Fanren was very talkative. He was boasting and spitting saliva. To be able to enter the ancient Emperor Academy, one has to go through a strict examination. In a large city, it's already not bad if one person can enter the academy in a year. In our Yunguang city, there are only 2 people who have entered in so many years, and they haven't even graduated yet. Xia Fanren seemed to be gloating. His expression was strange. Yi Qinghan knew the exact location of the ancient Emperor Academy and nodded. He just needed to buy a map and he could leave. After all, Yunguang City was a dangerous place. He couldn't stay for long. He could be exposed at any time. Half a day later, Xia Fanren brought Yi Qinghan into a large ancient treasure shop. There was everything here. Immortal treasures, materials, immortal pills, defensive immortal robes, soul defensive immortal treasures, weapons, and even immortal technique. They ranged from the Xian immortal level to the spirit immortal level. Yi Qinghan walked around and bought a complete map of the Immortal Empire. He then entered the section with soul defensive immortal treasures. He was in soul form, so it was necessary to have a soul defensive immortal treasure. However, after a few rounds, he found that the prices of these immortal treasures were ridiculously high. An immortal earth immortal level defensive immortal treasure cost 500,000, and an immortal heaven immortal level defensive immortal treasure cost more than 1,500,000. Yi Qinghan looked at the celestial coins in his immortal ring. He had at most 1 million celestial coins left. If he wanted to exchange for a soul defensive immortal treasure, he would need to add on 3 heaven immortal level immortal rings. Yi Qinghan thought silently. Finally, he looked at Xia Fanren. He felt that he could make use of this person. If I give this immortal ring to the ancient treasure shop, it will expose my location. However, if I speed up and leave, The ancient treasure shop might not be able to catch up to me even if they inform the authorities. Yi Qinghan took out 30,000 celestial coins and threw it to Xia Fanren. I'm in a hurry to leave later. Help me open a path, especially when we reach the city gate. Xia Fanren was so excited that he was trembling. 30,000 celestial coins was enough for a year's salary. The job of a gatekeeper wasn't dangerous, so the salary wouldn't be high. Young master, don't worry. This area is my territory, Xia Fanren promised. Yi Qinghan raised his brows and asked, Your territory? Then how many heaven immortal level immortal rings do I have? Can you help me? However, you can't make it public. Xia Fanren said confidently, This ancient treasure shop allows you to exchange items. Moreover, I know some brothers. Leave this matter to me. I will definitely keep it a secret. Yi Qinghan smiled and pointed to a soul-defensive immortal treasure that he was interested in. He said, I have my eyes on this immortal treasure. However, I lack 500,000 celestial coins. These are 3 heaven immortal level immortal items. The market price is around 600,000 celestial coins. Adding the 1 million celestial coins that I have, that's 1,600,000 celestial coins. You can split the remaining 100,000 celestial coins with your brothers. Xia Fanren patted his chest excitedly and said confidently, Leave this matter to me. I guarantee that you will be satisfied. With that, Xia Fanren quickly dashed out. Little Fox Immortal reminded him weakly, Aren't you afraid of being trapped in Yunguang City? The corners of Yi Qinghan's lips curled into a smile as he spoke confidently. This Xia Fan only cares about profit. For the time being, he won't suspect anything about my identity. As long as I have enough money, he will keep my secret. Chapter 2309. Yi Qinghan glanced at the Immortal Arts section. Xian Immortal Arts cost at least 30 million celestial coins. Don't even think about it. Even Sky Immortal Arts cost about 2 million celestial coins. Little Fox Immortal curled her lip. 30 million celestial coins was enough for her to work hard for half her life. Most importantly, this was the lowest grade. If it was a high-grade Xian Immortal Secret Art, it would cost at least 50 million celestial coins. This was the savings of a medium-sized clan or sect for tens of thousands of years. I can't afford it. I can't afford it. Yi Qinghan shook his head. There were good and bad Xian Immortal Secret Arts. If Xikong Tanlang's secret art was improved, it would be considered a high-grade Xian Immortal Art. If it wasn't improved, it would be the lowest grade. He naturally wanted a better Xian Immortal Art. Unfortunately, those arts were priceless. Yi Qinghan now knew the importance of celestial coins. With money, one could travel the world. Without money, one couldn't move an inch. At this moment, Xia Fanren ran over with a young man with pointy ears and monkey-like cheeks. This person looked like a profiteer who would do anything for money. Yi Qinghan smiled. He knew that this matter was close. This young man would be confused by 100,000 celestial coins. He wouldn't be able to figure out his true identity in a short time. Aya, my eyesight is really good. You can see through my ancient treasure store's number 1 soul defense immortal treasure. This is the famous immortal soul lock in the undying immortal world. It means that it's like a lock on the soul. If the enemy wants to attack your soul, they will have to break the immortal soul lock first. This immortal soul lock can withstand a single attack from a Xian immortal. Of course, it will break after one attack. It can buy you some time and maybe it can save your life. As for Sky Immortal experts, ordinary Sky Immortal experts won't be able to break the defense of the immortal soul lock. It's worth 1.5 million celestial coins. The young man with pointy ears and monkey-like cheeks explained to Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan smiled. He naturally wanted this immortal soul lock because of its advantages. Yi Qinghan calmly said, I want this immortal soul lock, and I won't say much about the price. It's just that I've bought a lot of things along the way, and I don't have much money on me. I'm only short of 500,000. I have 3 heavenly immortal grade immortal rings, and I'm sure Mr. Xia has already told you about them. My only request is that you don't sell the immortal rings for now because I'm on a secret mission and don't want to expose my identity. Otherwise, the Ancient Emperor Academy will deduct my credit. No problem, absolutely no problem. Xia Fanren and the young man hurriedly nodded and bowed. This was a profit of 100,000 plus commission, which was enough for them to earn for a long time. Then let's get the goods. I'm in a hurry to carry out the mission given to me by the Academy, Yi Qinghan said with a straight face. The two of them didn't doubt Yi Qinghan's identity at all. He was a top student of the Ancient Emperor Academy. They didn't dare to offend a top student of the Ancient Emperor Academy. Even if the Yunguang City Lord came personally, they would still treat him as someone of the same generation. Young master, please follow me. I'll bring you to a private room, the wretched young man said with a flattering smile. Yi Qinghan shook his head. Birds of a feather flocked together. The people that Xia Fanren interacted with were very similar to him. They were practically a carbon copy of the divine bird human. The 4 of them entered a luxurious private room. Yi Qinghan took out 3 immortal rings and handed them over to Xia Fanren. The 1 million immortal coins were also handed over. Then, Yi Qinghan refined the immortal soul lock. His physical body formed by his soul spirit seemed to be plated with a layer of gold. However, it didn't affect his movement. Instead, it increased his soul spirit's combat power. Not bad. It's indeed a high-grade defensive immortal weapon. This thing is too complicated and isn't easy to refine. Otherwise, I would have made some and sold it as well. It should be easy to earn tens of millions of immortal coins. Yi Qinghan sighed to himself. Is young master satisfied? Xia Fanren asked excitedly. Yi Qinghan nodded and said to him, Lead me out of the city. When I return, I'll give you something good. Xia Fanren had earned more than 60,000 immortal coins this time. How could he not treat Yi Qinghan like a lord? He bowed and said, Young master, it's my honor to be able to meet such a talented student of the Ancient Emperor Academy. Yi Qinghan smiled faintly and brought Little Fox Immortal out of the ancient treasure shop. He pulled her onto the horse and said, Commander Xia, lead the way. All right, please sit tight. Xia Fanren pulled the reins and led the way. They galloped wildly. They came slowly and left quickly. After 2 hours, they arrived at the city gate. The 4 guards outside the city gate looked at Xia Fanren with envy and jealousy. Looking at his ecstatic and servile expression, the 4 of them could guess that he had gained a lot of benefits this time. Many thanks, Commander Xia. This seat will leave first. Let's meet again if fate wills it. Pa! Whoosh! Yi Qinghan lifted the reins and the immortal horse soared into the sky. It soared into the clouds and disappeared in a flash. Ha ha ha, you tricked them. You actually sold the 3 immortal rings. Little Fox Immortal said happily as she leaned into Yi Qinghan's embrace. Yi Qinghan smiled confidently. He could only sell the remaining 9 immortal rings after he left Vast Cloud City. Otherwise, even a fool would be able to guess his identity. Vast Cloud City's ancient treasure shop. Actually, when Yi Qinghan took out the 3 immortal rings, the wretched youth with pointy ears and monkey-like cheeks was already suspicious. The Haolian Immortal Sect had provided a total of 3 clues: immortal runes, immortal rings, and Little Fox Immortal. This person is a student of the Ancient Emperor Academy. It is normal for him to be proficient in immortal runes. These 3 immortal rings are very old and should have been worn by people all year round. It is very likely that they are the immortal rings worn by the 12 elders of the Haolian Immortal Sect. As for Little Fox Immortal, although her aura was suppressed, she still gave people the urge to ravage her. She might really be Little Fox Immortal. According to this deduction, this guy might be the murderer. However, he is a student of the ancient Emperor Academy. Even if the Howlian Immortal sect knows that he is the murderer, would they dare to take revenge on the students of the ancient Emperor Academy? Although the wretched youth was a profiteer, the key was that his brain was much scarier than Xia Fanren's. All kinds of deductions and observations were perfect. That night, Xia Fanren found the youth's house. "Brother Su Meng, you have earned a lot this time. How are you going to thank me?" Xia Fanren said excitedly. Su Meng, the youth's name. At this moment, he had a serious and hesitant expression. He sat on the bed and said worriedly, "I still have to thank you. I thought about it carefully. The youth you brought is probably the one who killed the Howlian Immortal sect. I'm afraid it's not easy to sell these 3 immortal rings." "What? He is a student of the ancient Emperor Academy?" Xia Fanren said in shock. Su Meng raised a mocking smile and said with a bitter smile, "It is because he is a student of the ancient Emperor Academy that I suspect he is the murderer. Think about it. 3 immortal rings, that little girl, and his identity. It might be a little exaggerated for him to kill 12 heavenly immortals. However, sneak attacks and assassinations are definitely possible for the students of the ancient Emperor Academy." Chapter 23:10. In the sky, an immortal horse galloped away. Although its wings were small, it was faster than the golden thunder dragon rock. Yi Qinghan wanted to go to the East Divine Region. However, the journey was dangerous and long. It would not be easy. On the horse, Yi Qinghan opened the map and realized that there were 6 regions in the Dragon Emperor Immortal Empire. East Divine Region, West Divine Region, South Divine Region, North Divine Region, Center Divine Region, and Ancestral Dragon Continent. We are now in the West Divine Region. We have to cross the entire empire to reach the East Divine Region. We have to pass through the Ancestral Dragon Continent and Center Divine Region. It is not easy. Yi Qinghan frowned and felt helpless. The Ancestral Dragon Continent and Center Divine Region were the most difficult to travel. Due to the strict racial hierarchy, humans were at a disadvantage. The dragon bloodline was the noblest. There were hundreds of thousands of cities in the West Divine Region. Each city would take about 3 years. Even if they went in a straight line, they would have to pass through 2,000 cities. From the West Divine Region to the Center Divine Region, it would take about 3,000 to 5,000 years. With the immortal horse's speed, it would take at least 1,000 years. Yi Qinghan rubbed his nose and asked Little Fox Immortal, "Do you have a faster speed to reach the East Divine Region?" Little Fox Immortal was confused. She shook her head and said, "I have never left the West Divine Region in my life." "So you mean you are useless?" Yi Qinghan raised his eyebrows and asked. Plop, Little Fox Immortal was scared out of her wits. She looked at Yi Qinghan in horror and begged, "Master, don't sell me. Give me a reason not to sell." Yi Qinghan asked calmly. Little Fox Immortal's eyelids twitched. She felt that Yi Qinghan was serious this time. She racked her brains, hoping to find a use for her. "I can be your slave and serve you." Little Fox Immortal thought for a long time and realized that this was the only thing that would be useful to Yi Qinghan. Otherwise, she would not be able to defeat him. If they really fought, he would have to protect her. Yi Qinghan looked at Little Fox Immortal's serious face and could not help but laugh at himself. He quickened his pace. While Yi Qinghan was escaping, Sikong Tanlang was constantly thinking about how to catch Yi Qinghan. After all, he needed Yi Qinghan to fuse the 4 secret technique. He wanted to catch Yi Qinghan more than the people of the Endless Peak Mountain. Unfortunately, Sikong Tanlang was incapable of controlling his own world. At present, Eternal World had already given birth to a considerable number of eternal spirit immortals. Given Lin Wutian's combat power alone, Sikong Tan Lang could not guarantee that he would be able to defeat Lin Wutian. Not to mention, there was also Sage Chess, Fan Yin, Heavenspan and GD. The elites of the Kuang sect were also springing up like bamboo shoots after a spring rain. They were forced to unleash their potential under the pressure. They all wanted to break through this layer of shackles and help Yi Qinghan. Therefore, another batch of great saints was born. The older generation of the Kuang sect's elites were close to the immortal spirit realm. The great world was completely out of control. Without the help of outsiders, Sikong Tan Lang had completely lost his world. In this helpless situation, he could only beg Xian Immortal Wuchuan, hoping to join forces with the Endless Peak Mountain to capture the people of the Kuang sect so that Yi Qinghan could return by himself. However, Xian Immortal Wuchuan was not willing to waste a lot of energy and time to go to Eternal World. Moreover, he had offended Xian Immortal Wuchuan. Xian Immortal Wuchuan was not willing to open his world for him anymore. Even if Yang Zhixian, a golden immortal, personally went to invite him, he would not be moved. Eternal World's Kuang sect was the safest place. Unfortunately, Yi Qinghan did not know that. 30 years later, Yi Qinghan arrived at the eastern part of the Western God Province from Yunguang City. He was very close to the border of the Center God Province. Pat pat. Yi Qinghan patted the immortal horse's head and said, "Find a slightly bigger city and land. I want to expose my identity before entering the Center God Province." Little Fox Immortal asked in surprise, "Why? Aren't you afraid that the people of Yunguang City will hunt you down?" Yi Qinghan raised his eyebrows and said confidently, "The Haolian Immortal sect does not have the ability to hunt me down here. I want to attract the people of the Endless Peak Mountain." "What? Are you crazy? The Endless Peak Mountain is one of the top 10 forces in the immortal world. They are the most difficult to deal with. Why do you want to attract them?" Little Fox Immortal asked in horror. "Of course, to attract them to hunt me down," Yi Qinghan said indifferently. The little Hu Immortal's body trembled as she said in fear, "Master, please sell me off. It's too late to ask me to sell you now. I have a shortcoming. Even if I die, I want to drag someone down with me. I don't have many days left to enjoy. I won't let go of a little Fox Immortal in my last moments." Yi Qinghan replied coldly. Boom. The immortal horse landed outside a city. After resupplying, it arrogantly went to the biggest intelligence system in the city. "I want to sell a piece of information. A big piece of information. If your organization is interested, you can find someone to talk to me." Yi Qinghan stood in the hall and said in a deep voice. An old man in a brocade robe looked at Yi Qinghan in surprise. He was just a little earth immortal and a soul body. What big information could he have? He said, "I am the person in charge of the intelligence system branch. What information do you have to sell?" The specific location of the murderer who killed more than 30 immortal Earth immortals of the Endless Peak Mountain. The specific location of the murderer who killed 13 immortal heaven immortal elders of the Haolian Immortal sect in Yunguang City. Yi Qinghan said confidently. The old man was shocked. It would be a joke if the people in charge of intelligence did not know about these two things, especially the matter of the Endless Peak Mountain. It even alarmed a big shot like the immortal Golden Immortal. The reward was very high. Just the location of Yi Qinghan was worth hundreds of thousands of celestial coins. If they caught him alive, they would make a fortune. "Dao friend, come with me." The old man quickly led Yi Qinghan into a private room. After closing the door, he asked in a deep voice, "Dao friend, these two pieces of information are very valuable. Can you confirm the specific location of these two murderers?" "No, the murderer of these two cases is the same person. Moreover, I know his location now. How many celestial coins can you pay?" Yi Qinghan asked in a deep voice. The old man was shocked again. He asked in a speechless voice, "One person? If it is really one person, then the price is about 300,000 celestial coins. Pay up. That person is far away on the horizon but close in front of us." Yi Qinghan looked up and said in a deep voice. The old man frowned. This was the first time he saw a criminal who wanted to take his bounty. This fellow was really not afraid of death. After offending the Endless Peak Mountain and a Xian immortal sect, he actually dared to take the initiative to sell his location to the intelligence system. "How do you prove it?" the old man asked in surprise. Yi Qinghan smiled confidently and said, "What is there to prove? Everyone knows that the person who killed the 30 Earth Immortals of the Endless Peak Mountain back then was an immortal spirit immortal from Sikong Tanlong's eternal world. The secret techniques he cultivated were the Immortal Sect Teleportation Technique, the Immortal Sect Golden Bell Shield, the Sacred Finger of Annihilation, and the Space-Piercing Star-Plucking Hand." Hua! Yi Qinghan formed a seal with both hands. The Sacred Finger of Annihilation and the Space-Piercing Star-Plucking Hand erupted. The two immortal techniques could be completely merged. The old man looked at Yi Qinghan in shock. If he could not be sure that Yi Qinghan was telling the truth, then he was done for. What was the point of collecting intelligence? These are 9 immortal rings. They all belonged to the heavenly immortal elders of the Haolian immortal sect. After I killed them, I only had time to take 12 immortal rings. I sold 3 of them in Yunguang City. The remaining 9 are all here. Can you prove it now? Yi Qinghan asked in return. Chapter 23:11. The old man was completely convinced by Yi Qinghan. For 300,000 celestial coins, he was willing to sell himself. What a weirdo! However, what he did not know was that Yi Qinghan was not doing this for the 300,000 celestial coins. He was worried that the people of Endless Peak Mountain would attack Kuang Zong in Eternal World. Yi Qinghan reached out his hand and asked for the celestial coins. 300,000 celestial coins was a huge fortune. It would be a waste not to take it. The immortal rings crisscrossed, and the 300,000 celestial coins were handed over. The old man had never thought of capturing Yi Qinghan alive. This fellow had killed 13 immortal celestial immortals, even if they were elders of small sections. His strength was obvious. If Yi Qinghan cared about celestial immortals, he definitely wouldn't sell him. If he notified the Xian immortals now, it would take at least 2 hours for them to arrive. Go. This old man will give you 1 incense stick's worth of time to escape. After that, you will be responsible for your own life. The old man said lightly. It was impossible for the intelligence system to make a loss. Because of Yi Qinghan's whereabouts, they would earn back the 300,000 celestial coins 10 times, or even 100 times more. Yi Qinghan smiled faintly and turned to leave. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan directly used a teleportation technique to leave the intelligence system's hall and rushed out of the city. 1 incense stick's worth of time was only enough for him to get out of the city. Outside the city, Little Fox Immortal's strength was suppressed again. She could only lead the horse and wait for Yi Qinghan. She did not even dare to run. After 1 incense stick's worth of time, Yi Qinghan rushed out of the city and rushed onto the immortal horse. He beckoned Little Fox Immortal and said in a low voice, "Let's go. We will enjoy the process of being hunted down later." Jia! Hiss! The immortal horse neighed and soared into the sky. However, in less than a moment, at least 10 immortal heaven immortals and more than 30 earth immortals rushed out of the city. Yi Qinghan's bounty is 5 million celestial coins. And this is only the bounty of Endless Peak Mountain. Haolian Immortal Sect has a bounty of 500,000 celestial coins. I heard that Sikong Tanlang has a bounty of 1,300,000 celestial coins. Everyone who came out had a portrait of Yi Qinghan, his cultivation level, and all sorts of introductions. With this portrait, it would be impossible for Yi Qinghan to escape. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Almost every 3 breaths of time, a celestial immortal expert would rush out of the city and chase after Yi Qinghan. In the city's information center, there was a long queue of experts who wanted to purchase Yi Qinghan's information and appearance. Not only did the old man sell the information to these sky immortal level adventurers and bounty hunters, he also sold the information to the Halian immortal sect, End Peak Mountain, and Sikong Tanlang. He even sent experts to capture Yi Qinghan alive. The information center had its own channels of transmission. In less than half a day, End Peak Mountain paid 300,000 celestial coins for Yi Qinghan's whereabouts. Both the Halian immortal sect and Sikong Tanlang received the information and paid a lot of celestial coins. In just half a day, the information center earned 3 million celestial coins because of Yi Qinghan. This kind of large organization made money like flowing water. A big event could make them a lot of money. Xian immortals were dispatched. As long as they could capture Yi Qinghan alive, the reward of 5 million celestial coins from End Peak Mountain alone was enough to attract them. Plus Sikong Tanlang's 1 million celestial coins, even Xian immortals would be tempted. When the first Xian immortal set out, Yi Qinghan had only left for about 2 hours. When the second and third Xian immortals left the city, it was the second day. Of course, the Xian immortals had far more information than the Sky immortals, and the Sky immortals had more information than the immortal Earth immortals. Xian immortals spent 100,000 celestial coins to get all of Yi Qinghan's information, including who was with him. For example, his height, appearance, soul state, even his horse and divine bird were included in the information. The intelligence system was indeed an intelligence system. It was very professional. Yi Qinghan had only left the city for less than 2 hours when he sensed danger. He simply abandoned the immortal horse and merged the divine bird and little fox immortal into his body. He went on alone. Not long after, there was a large group of people searching for immortals in soul state. Soul state and physical state were 2 different things. This was the information that everyone received. Yi Qinghan didn't dare to touch the crowd anymore. He was in a state of panic now. What was even more frightening was that Yi Qinghan didn't know that Xian Immortal Wuchuan from Ultimate Peak Mountain and Sikong Tanlang from Sikong City were already on their way. They were Xian Immortals, so their speed was definitely much faster than immortal horses. He took 30 years to cross the West God Province, but they only took a year. The border between the Center God Province and the West God Province was filled with bounty hunters and adventurers, ranging from Xian immortals to immortals. For money, birds and people would die. It was because of this group of immortals who wanted to take advantage of the situation that there was a sea of people. Yi Qinghan's route was blocked. He couldn't kill this group of immortals. Killing one of them would expose his location. Unless it was a last resort, Yi Qinghan tried his best to avoid the crowd. He didn't want to meet the immortals, and he didn't want to kill them. According to the original plan, they could have reached the Center God Province in 3 months. Unfortunately, Yi Qinghan had only traveled a few thousand miles after more than a year. At this moment, at least 10 Xian immortals had gathered in this huge hilly area. Including those who didn't show up, there were probably more than 10 of them. These people already gave Yi Qinghan a lot of pressure. However, in the second year, Sikong Tanlang and Xian Immortal Wuchuan entered this area. Yi Qinghan hasn't left this area yet. We can definitely catch him. Whoever catches him will be lucky. Ha ha ha, at least 6 million celestial coins as a reward. This is equivalent to the wealth of a small sect. Some immortals walked excitedly in this hilly area. Their words and actions showed their joy. Yi Qinghan hid in the dark and couldn't move. However, his actions bought time for the Guangzong, Fan Yin, and the others to leave. A few months after Sikong Tanlang left, the Guangzong finally got the news. However, in these years, Gu Qingyu, Monkey King Qitian, and the other veteran great sages had successfully stepped into the immortal realm. They were smart. Their souls left their bodies and entered each other's worlds. Then, they successfully left the eternal world with each other's bodies. The 10 immortals of the Kuang Zone were very powerful. As soon as they entered the immortal world, they quickly rushed to the north of Sikong City. That was the direction of the Qing Zun Immortal Kingdom. As long as they left Sikong City, they would be safe. More than half of the experts in Sikong City had been killed by the people of Endless Peak Mountain. The others were either in the city or scattered in some corners of the immortal world. Even if the immortals sensed that something was wrong, they didn't dare to chase after the immortals of the Kuang Zone. After all, they were scared of Yi Qinghan. This freak killed 30 immortals of the Endless Peak Mountain as a spirit immortal. Now, they heard that he killed 13 immortals of the Endless Peak Mountain. Even if the people of the Kuang Zone were not that freakish, they should still be able to kill immortals of the immortals. The immortals of the Earth Immortals didn't dare to chase after them. The immortals of the Kuang Zone were not at home. Fan Yin, Chess Saint, and the other 3 experts also escaped from Sikong City. They chased after the Kuang Zone. At least in the immortal world, they should look after each other. Chapter 23:12. Kuang Zong had escaped, but Yi Qinghan had nowhere else to go. He had underestimated the power of the immortal realm. Their numbers were enough to overwhelm the king of soldiers. Yi Qinghan sat on top of a cliff, using thorns and stones to disguise himself. He looked at the people around him with exhaustion and helplessness. I didn't expect to be surrounded by a group of spirit immortals. When a powerful Xian immortal appears, someone like Xianyuan Qingxian will definitely find me. Yi Qinghan muttered to himself, trying to find a way out for himself. Divine Bird and Little Fox Immortal couldn't help him now. He could only rely on himself. Yi Qinghan closed his eyes to rest and adjust his soul. In the past 2 years, he had swallowed no less than 300 immortal herbs. However, the absorption of his soul was far from that of an immortal Earth Immortal with a physical body. Moreover, he was not an elixir, so he could only use less than 40% of the herb's medicinal properties. Otherwise, he would have reached the advanced stage of immortal Earth Immortal. His soul suddenly became stronger, almost breaking through to the advanced stage of immortal Earth Immortal. Yi Qinghan was overjoyed. He quickly restrained his soul and swallowed another immortal herb. He sat cross-legged on the ground to comprehend. Without the physical body's suppression, the immortal soul's breakthrough was much easier. Yi Qinghan put his palms together and mobilized his immortal spirit force and soul power to break through the bottleneck. The immortal soul lock was emitting a kind of energy that activated the immortal soul's potential. The impact was much stronger than before. Just as Yi Qinghan was desperately cultivating, some real experts appeared in this hilly area. They were not the so-called experts from the remote villages. The 3 immortal heaven immortals were dressed in a special way. Their equipment was also perfect. Their clothes looked like they came from the same sect, family, or school. They looked young, just a little older than Yi Qinghan. Their temperament was extraordinary, and their words and actions were very noble. 2 men and 1 woman. All of them were mid-stage, undying heaven immortals. The woman was devastatingly beautiful, enchanting and charming, but also pure. The 2 men were very unique. One of them was a slightly taller youth with a handsome face that was filled with dignity. The other was much more easygoing, and his expression was not as serious as the taller man. Chu Zhongshuan, you're saying that Ultimate Peak Mountain is offering so much just to capture an immortal Earth Immortal? Since when did Extreme Peak Mountain become so generous? The easygoing young man had a smile on his face, but his eyes were fixed on the beautiful woman. The solemn Chu Zhongshuan silently said, "Honorable Zheng, Since the extreme peak mountain is willing to pay such a high price to capture him, they naturally have their reasons. However, that trash Sikong Tan Lang is willing to pay more than 1,000,000 celestial coins to find Yi Qinghan, it must be for his cultivation method. This means that Yi Qinghan has perfectly fused with his cultivation method. This Yi Qinghan is not simple. Don't underestimate him. Honorable Zheng was the name of the easygoing man. That woman was also very famous in the Center God province. She was Yu Zuanf, one of the top 10 beauties of the Center God province. Yu Zuanf smiled faintly, full of gentleness. Her jade-like fingers stroked her hair, and her voice was like a yellow oriole as she said, "I want to see what the person that so many forces want to kill looks like." Honorable Zheng shrugged and said with a smile, "There are not many people that can interest Xian and Yu Fairy. Since you want to see, I'll capture him and bring him in front of you, and let you see as much as you want. Brother Honorable Zheng, be careful of failing miserably. You'll lose all the face of the top 100 young experts of the Center God province." Yu Zuanf teased. Honorable Zheng was easygoing, but when he was serious, he was very imposing. His easygoing expression suddenly changed, and he said seriously, "This Yi Qinghan comes from a trashy, profound, immortal macro world. It's really a remote place. Plus, his cultivation is one level lower than mine. If he can beat me, I'll never return to the Center God province in this life." The three chatted along the way, and the atmosphere was quite amicable. However, Chu Zhongshuan was obviously the leader of the three. "We're here for 6 million. 6 million is not a small amount. We want to buy one of the top 10 profound, immortal level ultimate profound, immortal level profound, immortal level profound immortal, the immortal slaying profound. So, the two of you should be more serious," Chu Zhongshuan said in a deep voice. The immortal slaying profound, one of the top 10 profound immortal level secret arts, had an unimaginable price. Even a large sect might not be willing to buy it. It was not impossible for the three of them to buy it together, but only one person could learn it and then slowly teach the other two, or use other profound immortal arts to compensate. The profoundness of this was naturally understood by people who often bought immortal art. The three of them walked quickly into this area. When the three of them worked together, even a profound immortal would have to give them face. Plus, they all had their own backgrounds. Yi Qinghan woke up from his epiphany. On one hand, it was because danger was approaching. On the other hand, it was because he had broken through. He was now a high-level immortal Earth immortal, and his combat power was comparable to an ordinary high-level immortal Heaven immortal. Seems like it won't be easy to break through this time. Yi Qinghan stood on the cliff and looked to the east. The Center God province was right in front of him, but he could not cross it. Whoosh, whoosh. A powerful immortal bird flew across the sky. Its eyes were like lightning, and it seemed to be searching for something. Yi Qinghan approached the rock and hid in the weeds. He did not dare to reveal any of his aura. If this immortal bird had the combat power of an immortal Heaven immortal, then its master must be even stronger. The immortal bird left quickly. Back then, even a profound immortal could not detect Yi Qinghan, let alone now that Yi Qinghan had broken through to the next level. It was impossible for a Heaven immortal bird to detect him. In the messy hilly area, many spirit immortals were running around like headless flies. A few spirit immortals went up the cliff, but they could not detect them. Soon, they left the cliff. Yi Qinghan looked at the darkening sky, waiting for night to fall. All these years, he had only traveled in the dark. Tonight might be the best time to leave. If he could not leave now, he would be completely surrounded by strong cultivators, and there would be no hope of escape. Yi Qinghan, it's best if you take the initiative to come out. I might be able to plead for you. Wu Chuan looked down from the sky and said coldly, "Ultimate Peak Mountain is not something a little guy like you can provoke. The big boss has already given the order to capture you. You better know what's good for you." Whoosh! Sikong Tanlang also rushed into the sky and looked around. He said in a low voice, Yi Qinghan, tell me the technique of fusing the 4 great immortal techniques, and I will spare your arrogant sect. Instead, I will take care of them. Profound immortals were in the sky, and they had the upper hand. Heaven immortals were on the ground, and together with earth immortals and spirit immortals, Yi Qinghan could not move. Screech! At this time, 3 auras erupted, shocking even the Xian immortals. They were riding on 3 powerful sky immortal-level flying beasts. They were Chu Zhongshuan, Jingzun, and Yu Zuan. They stood proudly on the back of the flying beasts with their hands behind their back. They looked down on everyone with disdain. Their black hair fluttered in the wind. Hiding in the shadows, Yi Qinghan frowned as he watched Wu Chuan and the others. In the depths of his heart, he was still most worried about these 3 young celestial immortal experts. The pressure they gave him far exceeded that of Sikong Tanlang. Chapter 23:13. As the sky darkened, the Xian immortals took control of the sky. Their divine senses scanned the surroundings. Even if someone was moving, they would not be able to escape their sight. Including Sikong Tanlang and Wu Chuan, there were a total of 13 Xian immortals. However, Chu Zhongshuan and the other 2 heaven immortals were not to be underestimated. Yi Qinghan calculated in his mind. His strength might be on par with Chu Zhongshuan and the others, but once he was surrounded, he would not have a chance to escape. Yi Qinghan pondered silently. Suddenly, an Earth immortal rookie who was traveling alone actually ran up to the cliff. Chance! Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed. He silently waited for this Earth immortal to come up. Possession. This was a rather extreme immortal technique. However, Yi Qinghan's soul was too strong. Even if this Earth immortal body was successfully possessed, he would not be able to completely merge with it. His combat strength would be much weaker. What worried him the most was that if he could not merge with the body, he would expose his location. The distance between the 2 of them became smaller and smaller. Yi Qinghan narrowed his eyes and stared at the approaching Earth immortal. His soul virtualized and entered the Earth immortal's sea of consciousness with lightning speed. He destroyed his soul and forcefully took over his body. The body was too weak. It was not even comparable to his golden body of utmost saint. Such a weak immortal body was indeed not suitable for him. However, he had no other choice in order to escape. Yi Qinghan desperately wanted to merge with the body. Unfortunately, his compatibility was not even 30%. This caused his combat strength to be suppressed to less than 20%. Not bad. At least I can control it. Yi Qinghan heaved a sigh of relief. He controlled the Earth immortal body and quickly descended the cliff. He sped through the wilderness towards the east. Many people looked at the Earth immortal controlled by Yi Qinghan. Because he had a physical body, no one doubted him. The Earth immortal moved faster and faster, and his compatibility improved. However, when the compatibility reached 40%, he could no longer increase it. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, Yi Qinghan traversed the mountains. He especially mingled with spirit immortals. He even took the initiative to greet them. The spirit immortal team wanted to curry favor with the Earth immortal. Hence, they were willing to stay with him. This team of rookies was tempted by Yi Qinghan and rushed towards the direction of the Center God province. There were at least hundreds of thousands of people in the hilly region. On average, there was a group of people within 10 meters of each other. According to what I know, Yi Qinghan's destination is the Center God province. He might have already reached the Center God province. We won't be able to find him here. Let's go to the Center God province and wait for him. As long as we find his whereabouts, we can sell the information for hundreds of thousands of celestial coins. Yi Qinghan tried to entice little spirit fairy with a serious expression. This group of spirit immortals had never thought of capturing Yi Qinghan. They only wanted to obtain some information and sell it to experts. They felt that Yi Qinghan was right, so they followed him obediently. Yi Qinghan's team grew bigger and bigger. The more people there were, the less likely it would arouse the suspicion of the expert. Half a day later, the boundary stone of the Center God province was right in front of them. Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed. He was secretly happy. He looked at the dozen or so spirit immortals beside him and clenched his fists. He restrained his killing intent and stepped into the Center God province. Whoosh whoosh. Yi Qinghan controlled his earth immortal body and quickly walked towards the center of the Center God province. He ignored the group of spirit immortals and attracted their curiosity. Exalted immortal, where are you going? A few spirit immortals asked curiously. Yi Qinghan did not even turn his head. Because he had a body, his speed was much slower. He walked faster and faster, attracting the attention of some people. Stop! Who are you? A bold spirit immortal flashed and stopped Yi Qinghan. He looked at Yi Qinghan coldly. Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed coldly. He said coldly, "Get lost." There were also some experts loitering in the Center God province. They were probably waiting for Yi Qinghan to enter the Center God province. They had all noticed Yi Qinghan. Whoosh, in the blink of an eye, 3 earth immortal experts surrounded Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan did not dare to hesitate anymore. There would only be more people gathering. If he attracted mystic immortals, he would be in trouble. Boom. Yi Qinghan's soul instantly left his body. The earth immortal corpse fell. He transformed into his body and sent the 3 earth immortals flying with his palm. The spirit immortals could not even withstand the aftershock and disappeared. He activated the 5 elements teleportation technique and rushed into the Center God province. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan disappeared in a flash. The 3 earth immortals fell into a pool of blood and cried in pain. Yi Qinghan! I found Yi Qinghan! Whoosh whoosh! The mystic immortals were even faster. They arrived in a moment. Where did Yi Qinghan escape to? Mystic immortal Wuchuan roared angrily. The earth immortals wanted to sell information. Mystic immortal Wuchuan and the others almost killed the 3 of them. But in order to get information about Yi Qinghan, they had to pay tens of thousands of celestial coins. Everyone was given some celestial coins. The 3 earth immortals transmitted the news of Yi Qinghan's departure to Wuchuan and the others. Even Chu Zhongshuan and the others paid 10,000 celestial coins. Only experts would pay for information. Even so, the 3 earth immortals received hundreds of thousands of celestial coins. Whoosh whoosh, the mystic immortals tore through the void and disappeared without a trace. It was impossible to find them. Those who were willing to pay for information were heaven immortals who were very confident in themselves. They were also very fast. In the blink of an eye, they were far away. Those who didn't want to pay for information could only follow Chu Zhongshuan and the others. Unfortunately, they were too slow and were left behind in the blink of an eye. At the border between the Center God province and the West God province, there were hundreds of thousands of spirit immortals, earth immortals, and immortal heaven immortals who were slightly weaker. They were now helpless. Yi Qinghan escaped from the encirclement of these people. He teleported as if his life depended on it. The 5 elements of heaven and earth were scattered by him. His speed was even faster than Sikong Tanlong's. No one knew if his speed would surpass Sikong Tanlong's when he reached the heaven immortal realm. Boom! With a single leap, he could cover a distance of several thousand li. This was the undying immortal world, a place where space was much more stable compared to eternal world. Only profound immortals could tear through space-time. However, with his high-level earthly immortal cultivation base, he could distort space-time. Whoosh! Everything flew backward. Yi Qinghan turned into a shooting star and ran around the Center God province. He didn't dare to enter the city. He didn't dare to trust the others. However, the mystic immortals behind him were getting closer and closer. If this continued, he would be caught sooner or later. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath and continued to increase his speed. He ran for half the night. In the darkness before dawn, he couldn't even see his own fingers. However, a large bonfire appeared in front of him. It should be a large caravan. There were at least 200 people. Half of the experts were mercenaries. This group of people licked the blood on the tip of their blades. They were very vigilant. When Yi Qinghan approached, the bonfire was blown away. Whoosh! More than 10 immortal level mercenaries immediately stood up and unsheathed their swords. They looked around. Yi Qinghan restrained his aura and kept approaching a carriage. The carriage was wrapped in a special material. He didn't know what was inside. Unfortunately, he didn't have time to choose. The 13 mystic immortals were almost here. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan's soul turned illusory and floated in through the curtain. Chapter 23:14. Yi Qinghan dodged the surrounding guards and mercenaries and went straight into the carriage. The interior of the carriage was spacious and luxurious. It was like a small room with a bed, table, and chairs. On the bed lay a young girl in a thin veil. Her slender legs were exposed and she seemed to be sleeping. The scene was very seductive. Yi Qinghan retracted his aura and transformed into his physical body. He looked around and realized that there was no place to hide in the carriage. His eyes darkened as he looked at the young girl and the blanket on the bed. He took the opportunity to seal her immortal gate, suppressing her immortal soul and preventing her from using her immortal spiritual energy. Finally, he grabbed her throat with his hand. The sleeping girl was startled awake, but before she could move, she was restrained by Yi Qinghan. Shoo! Don't move. Don't shout. I won't hurt you. But if you dare to do anything, don't blame me for being impolite, Yi Qinghan said softly. The young girl looked young, about 17 or 18 years old. However, she had the cultivation of a heavenly immortal. However, she looked a lot purer. She should be a flower in a greenhouse, the kind that belonged to a noble family. Yi Qinghan sized her up and covered her exposed body with the blanket. He looked at her seriously. The young girl looked at Yi Qinghan in horror. If not for Yi Qinghan's good looks, she would have fainted from fear. The young woman was also sizing up Yi Qinghan. His handsome face was chiseled like a knife, and every line of his face was filled with charm. He was perfect. A man like him would be a hero in a large city. A strand of black hair fell over her face. Huff, huff, huff. Thump, thump, thump. The young girl's heart was beating wildly. Her peaks were so high that the blanket was bulging. Don't be afraid. I'm not a bad person. I'm just hiding from my enemies. If you help me cover it up, I'll thank you greatly, Yi Qinghan said in a low voice. However, the young girl didn't care about Yi Qinghan's reward. Her carriage alone was worth more than 100,000 celestial coins. Her identity was obvious. She must be the daughter of a great family. You. Who are you? Who is your enemy? The young girl suppressed her fear and asked in a low voice. She was still relatively calm. Yi Qinghan didn't dare to say that it was the ultimate peak mountain. He said, "It's the Western God Continent's Cloud Guang City and the Qing Zun Immortal Empire's Si Kong City. They have Xian immortals on the move. I had no choice but to sneak into Fairy's carriage. Fairy, please save my life. If there's a chance, I'm willing to repay you with my life." The girl's eyes were bright and moving, as if she could see through Yi Qinghan's soul. She seemed to know that he was not lying, but she wanted to save her own life, so she nodded and said, "I can save you, but after they leave, you have to leave my carriage, and you can't hurt me." Yi Qinghan nodded and slowly let go of her neck. He clasped his fist and said, "Sorry, I was rude." Boom, whoosh. At this time, a rumbling sound came from outside the carriage. The immortal horse was startled, and almost pulled the carriage away, but the coachman was very experienced and quickly suppressed the frightened immortal horse. "Who are you? You even dare to disturb the caravan of the Eastern God Continent's Eastern God Continent?" A majestic voice spread out, and a terrifying Xian immortal aura spread out with the sound of a bell. Yi Qinghan's body trembled, and he was also frightened. He didn't expect that there would be Xian immortals in the caravan. If he was discovered, he would have lost his life. Wu Chuan of the Ultimate Peak Mountain greets Taoist Eastern God Continent. I didn't mean to disturb the rest of the Eastern God Continent's Eastern God Continent, but a thief just passed by and might have mixed into the crowd. I hope that Taoist friend can give us some face and let us investigate. Wu Chuan was the first to arrive, but then 6 Xian immortals appeared behind him. As time passed, all 13 Xian immortals arrived. 13 Xian immortals. The Eastern God Continent's Xian immortals were all stunned. They wanted to shout at Wu Chuan, but they didn't expect so many Xian immortals to appear. Whoosh! Screech! Then Chu Zhongxuan, Zhengzun, and Yu Zuanf appeared outside the caravan. These 3 Sky Immortal Realm youths didn't fall behind, which showed their strength. The 100 Sky Immortal Realm mercenaries hired by the Eastern God Continent were all stunned. There weren't many Xian immortals, and under normal circumstances, it would be good if 2 Xian immortals appeared in a city. Moreover, kings didn't meet kings, so it was rare for them to meet each other. But now, so many Xian immortals came at once, so they didn't dare to act wildly. An old man walked out from the Eastern God Continent's team. He had white hair and a strong aura. He frowned at the 13 experts and said in a low voice, "I was cultivating just now, and I didn't see anyone blending into the caravan. Did you guys go in the wrong direction?" "No, this person's energy waves are still here, which means he was here just now." Taoist Eastern God Continent, Wu Chuan sincerely asks for Taoist friend to let me investigate. He definitely won't disturb the caravan. Wu Chuan said in a low voice. The Eastern God Continent's Xian immortal obviously didn't know Wu Chuan, but he knew about the Ultimate Peak Mountain. The Ultimate Peak Mountain was not to be trifled with, not to mention they had so many experts. "I am the previous sect leader of the Haolian Immortal Sect in Yunguang City, Lord Eastern God Continent." The person who blended into the caravan is the culprit who killed 13 Sky Immortal Elders of my sect. This person is extremely dangerous. Does Lord Eastern God Continent hope for such a demon to blend into the caravan? The old sect leader of the Haolian Immortal Sect stood out with a serious expression. The Eastern God Continent's Xian Immortal was also stunned. To be able to kill 13 Sky Immortal Realm Elders, it seemed like the culprit was not weak. Wu Chuan also said, Taoist Eastern God Continent, this culprit even killed 30 Immortal Earth Immortals at my Ultimate Peak Mountain. He is vicious and merciless. If I were you, I would definitely think about the safety of the caravan and find him. Sikong Tanlang stood steadily behind Wu Chuan. He knew that he couldn't raise his status, but he had discussed it with Wu Chuan. If they captured Yi Qinghan, they would first let him learn the technique of fusing immortal technique. The other Xian immortals were looking around the caravan. They wanted to find Yi Qinghan and capture Yi Qinghan first. Then, the Ultimate Peak Mountain wouldn't regret and they would get the 6 million reward. Chu Zhongxuan and the other young experts were also looking around. The energy ripples here were indeed similar to the energy ripples at the intersection of Center God Province and West God Province. Even though it was very weak, they could still feel it. Taoist Eastern God Continent, please give us some face. If this person isn't in the caravan, we're willing to apologize. The other Xian immortals also persuaded. The Eastern God Continent's elder seemed to be worried about the caravan's safety. He nodded and agreed. Yi Qinghan had a serious expression. The young woman looked at Yi Qinghan and hesitated for a moment before she lifted the blanket and said, hide under the blanket first. I'll cover for you from the outside. They probably won't rush into my room. At this moment, Yi Qinghan was truly grateful. This young girl was using her reputation to protect him. At this moment, there was nothing much to say. He clutched the bed tightly and curled up under the blanket. Fortunately, the bed and blankets were large enough. There were also many doll-like toys on top of them, so they didn't seem out of place. The girl also leaned on the bed. Her jade legs were shaking. She tried to avoid Yi Qinghan's body. More than 10 immortal Xian immortals and 3 young experts lined up in the caravan. They searched carefully. They even searched under the caravan and inside the immortal treasures. Soon, they found the outside of the girl's carriage. The Dong clan elder's face was serious as he stopped one of the abstruse immortals and said, "The person in the carriage is our Dong clan's little princess. She's resting right now. You can observe from outside, but you can't enter the carriage." The Eastern God Continent's first great clan was an ancient clan. They also had golden immortals. The group of Xian immortals didn't dare to force them. Dong dong dong. The Xian immortals knocked on the carriage window. They wanted to see the people and things in the carriage. Goddess Eastern God Continent suppressed her fear and her unstable aura. She asked crisply, "Who's disturbing my rest?" Chapter 23:15. Inside the carriage, the voice didn't sound imposing, but all the Xian immortals outside the carriage bowed. The Dongwang clan was an ancient clan that had existed for even longer than the 9 heaven Xian immortals. Even the immortal dragon emperor had to be polite to them. Every 10,000 years, the 5 immortal emperors of the Dongwang clan would attend the birthday celebration of the Dongwang clan's golden immortal. No one knew why the little princess of the Dongwang clan was in the carriage, but her presence was the foundation of the Dongwang clan. No one dared to be disrespectful to her, including Wu Chuan. "I'm Wu Chuan, Xian Immortal from the Ultimate Peak Mountain. Greetings, Dongwang Infanta. There's a murderous demon in the carriage. I'm worried that you'll be in danger, so I'm here to warn you. Please open the door and let us take a look," Wu Chuan said. At this moment, the carriage of the Dongwang Infanta was surrounded by experts because there were more strange auras here. Inside the carriage, Yi Qinghan was drenched in sweat. He knew that there were at least 3 or 4 Xian immortals outside. If he was exposed, he would definitely die. The Dongwang Infanta turned to look at Yi Qinghan. She didn't have any immortal spiritual energy. If she dared to do anything, Yi Qinghan could kill her instantly. Even if he didn't kill her, her reputation would be ruined. After all, gossip was a fearful thing. The Dongwang Infanta was a lady after all. She was unusually calm. She thought quickly and refused. "So it's the senior from the Ultimate Peak Mountain. There's only me in the carriage. There's no murderous demon. You'd better search somewhere else." Wu Chuan didn't give up. He had to open the door, even if he offended the Dongwang clan. The Ultimate Peak Mountain wasn't even afraid of the Immortal Kingdoms. Why would they be afraid of the Dongwang clan? "Please open the door, Infanta. That way we can be at ease. Otherwise, who can take responsibility if something happens?" Wu Chuan said. The Dongwang Infanta said coldly, "If anything happens to the Dongwang clan, you don't need to take responsibility. Even if you want to take responsibility, can you afford it?" Wu Chuan sneered and turned to look at the East Clan Xian, Immortal Elder, and secretly transmitted a message. "Dao friend, don't you think there's something wrong with the princess's attitude? If her car was safe, she would not have offended End Peak Mountain, but her attitude is so tough. I speculate that she has been controlled by someone, and it is very likely that it is the murderer." The old man from the Eastern Imperial family had a heavy expression on his face. He knew that Yi Qinghan was wanted by the Endless Peak Mountain. Wu Chuan would never joke about this matter. If the young princess was really controlled by a murderous demon, then this matter would be big. Xian Er, I am your uncle Luo Xian. Open the door and let me take a look. I have to ensure your safety before I can be at ease. The Xian immortal from the East clan said in a deep voice. Dong Wang Luoxian's cultivation was also at the initial stage of the mystic immortal realm, but his combat strength might be 2 times stronger than Wu Chuan's. This was the might of the ancient clans. Their combat strength was much stronger than ordinary cultivators of the same realm. Dong Wang Immortal knew that she had no choice but to open the door. She repeatedly signaled to Yi Qinghan, hoping that he would give her an idea. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath and decided to take a risk. He first opened Dong Wang Immortal's immortal door and released her soul. He then secretly transmitted a message, "Sorry for the offense. I will turn into a soul state and hide in your body." Dong Wang Immortal wanted to refuse, but Yi Qinghan had no time. He directly turned into a virtual soul and turned it into a ball of energy and entered her body. Hiss! Dong Wang Immortal's eyes widened. She puffed up her chest and her hair stood on end. She wanted to force Yi Qinghan out, but Dong Wang Luoxian was already forcefully opening the door. She had no choice. Dong Wang Immortal immediately wore a set of clothes and hid Yi Qinghan's soul in her body. Her body trembled, and it took her a lot of effort to stabilize her emotions. She waved her hand and opened the door. She stared at Wu Chuan, Dong Wang Luoxian, and the others outside the car and asked unhappily, "Uncle, what's wrong? I just rested for a while. Who are these people? Why did they barge into my Dong Wang family's carriage?" Dong Wang Immortal's face was flushed red. She was obviously embarrassed, but the others thought that she was angry. Yi Qinghan hid in Dong Wang Immortal's embrace. She didn't even wear a corset. His soul was equivalent to sitting on her surging chest. At this moment, he didn't dare to have any evil thoughts. He didn't want to anger Dong Wang Immortal. Dong Wang Luoxian scanned the carriage. The interior of the carriage wasn't big. The curtains were transparent, and there was definitely no way to hide someone in the blanket. The fragrance of the woman and all sorts of fragrant herbs filled the carriage. It had completely wiped away Yi Qinghan's soul. "Who?" Dong Wang Luoxian let out a breath of turbid air and said gently, "Xian a murderous demon has infiltrated into the carriage. He has already killed 13 immortal heaven immortals and 30 immortal earth immortals from the Endless Peak Mountain. Uncle and Taoist Wu Chuan are also worried about your safety. So, don't be angry." Dong Wang Immortal hadn't tidied up her clothes. She hurriedly tidied them up, but she felt uncomfortable all over. Now, it was equivalent to a man lying on her chest. Moreover, there was no barrier between them. It would be strange if she felt comfortable. "Uncle, I am sleeping. If there is really an enemy, I will definitely know." "Hurry up and close the door." Dong Wang Immortal sat on the bed and wrapped the blankets around her body. She said somewhat angrily. Wu Chuan stared at the interior of the carriage. However, after searching for a long time, he still couldn't find Yi Qinghan. He didn't think that Yi Qinghan would be hiding in Dong Wang Immortal's clothes. Wu Chuan helplessly shook his head and sighed. "This old man has offended you. Please don't be angry, princess." Okay, close the door." Dong Wang Immortal was anxious, angry, and shy at the same time. She directly ordered without any trace of politeness. Dong Wang Luoxian was somewhat suspicious. Dong Wang Immortal's temper wasn't like this. Normally, she was like a little girl. She was very shy and wouldn't get angry with the elders. Her behavior today was indeed somewhat suspicious. However, he didn't think too much about it. He only wanted to send Wu Chuan away quickly. After Dong Wang Luoxian closed the door, he asked Wu Chuan, "Taoist Wu Chuan, I wonder what is the cultivation level of the person that you are looking for?" "He was able to kill 13 heaven immortals and 30 earth immortals. Could he be a mystic immortal? Wu Chuan smiled bitterly and said, if only he was a mystic immortal. The big boss would definitely take action personally. The key is that his cultivation level is only at the immortal earth immortal realm. Sigh, it can only be the suffering of a lowly mystic immortal like me. What? Immortal earth immortal realm? Dongwang Luoxian was shocked. He casually opened the door again. At this moment, Dongwang Immortal was taking off her coat. Dongwang Immortal was shocked by Dongwang Luoxian. She quickly pulled the blankets over her body. No matter how good her temper was, she couldn't suppress her temper anymore. She directly screamed, "Are you crazy? Uncle, are you crazy too?" Bang! Dongwang Luoxian awkwardly closed the door and led Wu Chuan and the others to the other side. He said, "It seems that this person isn't in my niece's carriage. You should look elsewhere." Chapter 23:16. Wu Chuan and the rest searched the carriage for a few rounds, but Yi Qinghan was nowhere to be found. In the end, they could only leave and continue their search. Dongwang Luoxian stood in front of Dongwang Xian's carriage for a long time. In the end, he knocked on the door and said, "Xian, they are gone. Come down, I have something to ask you." Dongwang Xian looked at Yi Qinghan nervously. She had no choice but to let him hide in her embrace. At this moment, her face was bleeding. Hua! The door opened and Dongwang Xian walked down. She had a tall figure, a lowly face, devilish curves and long black hair. She was definitely a great beauty. Compared to Yu Zuanf, she had more temperament and less seductive charm. However, she was more likable. "Uncle, what are those people doing? How can you let them search the carriage?" Dongwang Xian pretended to be dissatisfied and reminded, "You know that this mission cannot be taken lightly." Dongwang Luoxian smiled bitterly and shook his head. He turned to look at the carriage. There was no one inside, not even a soul. He still said worriedly, "Compared to the mission, I am more worried about your safety. Just now, they came to search for a dangerous youth. He is an immortal earth immortal, a soul. He can kill immortal heaven immortals. Moreover, there were 13 of them. He even dared to offend Endless Peak Mountain. If you meet such a person, don't get involved with him." "Uncle, you know best what kind of person I am. How can I provoke such a person? Don't worry, he really isn't in my car. Otherwise, I would still be able to get some rewards." The Eastern Emperor Immortal smiled, radiating her radiance in all directions. Dongwang Luoxian smiled and no longer doubted Dongwang Xian. He said gently, "You are my brother's most beloved daughter. I brought you out. If I don't bring you back safely, how am I going to face this old man? It is good that you are safe. It will be dawn soon. You should rest. We will continue our journey tomorrow morning. We have to hurry to the center of the Center God province. There will be people from the East Imperial clan there to welcome us." Dongwang Xian pursed her lips and smiled. Although her smile was somewhat unnatural, she turned around quickly and Dongwang Luoxian didn't notice. But the carriage door closed once again. This time, the Dongwang Immortal used an immortal technique. The array protected the carriage, and the sound inside the carriage would not be transmitted out. She quickly forced Yi Qinghan's soul out of her chest. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan's soul radiated with immortal light and transformed into a body of flesh and blood once again. He bowed gratefully and said, "Thank you for saving me, fairy. I can't thank you enough." Dongwang Immortal snorted. Although she was a little angry, the voice that came out of her mouth was extremely charming. Her expression was also extremely lovable. "When we reach a safe place, I will send you off. From today onwards, you and I will never know each other, never see each other again." The Dongwang Immortal spoke in a clear voice. Yi Qinghan nodded silently. He would remember this kindness in his heart and repay it when he had the chance in the future. If he got involved with her again, it might affect her reputation. The next morning, the carriage set off. It didn't feel bumpy at all. Yi Qinghan sat at the head of the bed while the Dongwang immortal leaned on the other side. The two of them were so awkward that they didn't know what to say. The atmosphere in the room was a little strange. Yi Qinghan leaned against the window and was extremely nervous. He kept feeling that there was a Xian immortal watching the carriage. It was probably one of the Xian immortals from Wu River. There might even be a few of them who knew that this place wasn't safe. Luckily, the Dongwang immortal wasn't in a hurry to chase him off the carriage. Otherwise, he really wouldn't know what to do. After a long time, the Dongwang immortal finally couldn't hold it in and asked curiously, "You're an immortal earth immortal with a soul body. Why are those people from Extreme Peak Mountain chasing after you?" Yi Qinghan smiled bitterly and explained the reason and result of the matter. He told the story for an entire day. The Dongwang immortal listened attentively and was even more nervous than Yi Qinghan every time it was interesting. Her big eyes were full of light, as if she was yearning and looking forward to it. At this moment, her attitude towards Yi Qinghan was obviously much better. During the day, there were a few times when the servant girls brought food and immortal fruit. The Dongwang immortal took the initiative to let Yi Qinghan hide in her bed or even in her arms. Although she was still a little shy, she was no longer that unnatural. Until nighttime, the Dongwang immortal looked at Yi Qinghan with envy and said, "I really envy you. Your life is so exciting. Your Kuang sect must be very happy to have a sect leader like you." Yi Qinghan leaned against the bed and murmured with a gloomy face, "Happy? More than half of the brothers who fought with me since I was young were killed or injured. Only a few survived. I can't blame them for their deaths, but I blame myself in my heart. Many of my enemies were provoked by me, but they paid with their lives for me. But you also offended your enemies for the sake of your sect, your clansmen, and the people you protect. For example, this time, Ultimate Peak Mountain, Sikong Tanlang, and the Haolian Immortal Sect. I believe that anyone with a sense of justice will offend them. Why are you blaming yourself?" The naive Dongwang immortal asked in disbelief. Yi Qinghan looked exhausted. He had been running for years, and he did not know if the Kuang sect had escaped from Eternal World. He only hoped that Xianyuan Qingyun could help the Kuang sect once. Although his face was very young, there was a sense of desolation. It was as if he had experienced the ancient civilization and seen through the world. Dongwang Xian, who didn't know much about the world, was attracted by Yi Qinghan's experience. She didn't know whether it was sympathy, admiration, or envy. She looked at Yi Qinghan without blinking. The caravan was very fast. They were all pulled by immortal horses. The mercenaries all had mounts. The one thing the East Clan did not lack was money. Their mission this time might be very important, so they rushed to the center of the Center God province regardless of the cost. 1 day, 2 days, they rested at night and ran during the day. They had been running for several months, but the aura of the people tailing the caravan did not disperse. Yi Qinghan had an inexplicable feeling that constantly reminded him that danger was approaching. Are the people tailing the caravan coming for me or the East Clan's caravan? Yi Qinghan was somewhat unwilling to believe. However, he did not know what the East Clan's mission was, so he did not want to make wild guesses. In the past few months, Yi Qinghan had been cultivating in seclusion for a long time. He only chatted with Dongwang Immortal at night. Dongwang Immortal gave him several immortal pills, and they were all priceless immortal pills. Yi Qinghan did not refuse. Instead, he exchanged his own treasures with her. Although the value was not equal, at least he took them with a clear conscience. The Immortal Earth Immortal stage was becoming more and more stable. He was constantly trying to break through to the Immortal Heaven Immortal stage. Unfortunately, the immortal technique he cultivated was too lousy. Although he was constantly improving it, it was still useless. No matter how much he improved it, it was still lacking. His combat power would only get weaker. If this goes on, I can only move unhindered below the profound immortal stage. It is impossible for me to fight against a profound immortal stage expert. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath. He was thinking whether he should earn enough money to buy a real profound immortal stage secret technique. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.